must be while I breathe, I vote. Because that is how we make hope real for all of America. America, let's vote for Democrats up and down the ticket. Let's save our democracy, and let's vote for our MVP, Kamala Harris, and our coach, Tim Walz. Thank you all so much for being here. And now, it is indeed my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, who will be co-chair for tonight. This is a young woman who is the current lieutenant governor of the great state of Minnesota. And when Tim Walz becomes vice president, she will become the first Native American governor in this great country. Folks, let's welcome Peggy Flanagan.
Good evening. Thank you, Jamie, as we gather together on this historic night.
Just a little flavor from the DNC. Welcome to Inside the DNC. I'm your host, Steve Scafidi, along with my pal, my teammate, John McCure. Hi,
hey,
John.
Steve. Good to be here.
You just did 3 hours. We're going to ask you to do a little bit more.
I'm excited. This is great.
I mean, this is a big deal. We just went through this at the RNC for all of that week, and it is something that I never got to do before, and now it's happening again. Just 80 miles south. Tomorrow, you will be down there.
Yeah, we're there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, doing our whole show from the DNC. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be good. It's going to be like we did the RNC. We're going to talk to the people that are there, our delegates, our Wisconsin connections, and try to find some other fun people, maybe people you see on TV at the networks and that sort of thing.
I've got a couple lines out for delegates tonight to try to get them on the show. Because if you don't know the schedule, we're going to do 3 hours on the DNC because we want to be fair, and we cover the RNC. We're going to cover the DNC with the extra enthusiasm we always do for both sides of the political aisle. John McCure is going to join me for a few minutes before we cut him loose because you got a busy week ahead of you. I want to ask you this, though. President Joe Biden is speaking tonight. It's not going to be till like 9:30, and I pity my friend Eric Bilstead because he's going to be covering that story, and he's got to do the morning show. But that aside, simple question. Is this sort of his final significant address as president? Could it be?
I think it is. I think it has to be. I mean, he's never going to have a bigger stage than this. He'll give other speeches. He'll have time probably to talk about his legacy in greater detail, but it has to be. And a speech with a lot riding on it. I think tonight's a weird night because, they want to celebrate Kamala Harris. They want to build her up. They want enthusiasm. But I think tonight's going to be melancholy. I think tonight's going to be sad. I think a lot of people that love Joe Biden are conflicted tonight because even though they know this is the right decision if you're a Democratic voter, this is a sad night because the guy who's the incumbent isn't running, and he's an adored figure in the party, and I think it's going to be a sad night.
I had this conversation this morning with some journalists on my program, Political Power Hour, and I said, none of us a month ago thought this was going to be our reality, and here we are. It's an amazing time. Charles Benson said it to me on our podcast. This is an amazing time in American politics because so many things happened. We had an assassination attempt. You and I did live coverage that night, and we had Joe Biden withdrawing from the race after he had done debates, after he was essentially he'd gone through the primaries really unchallenged, not like the other side of the political aisle, and yet here we are talking tonight about President, potentially Kamala Harris, now Vice President, and Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who I also talked to in the RNC, now on stage as Vice President. Absolutely incredible moment in history.
It is. It's quite a month and a half or so. I think it's remarkable that the polling showed Biden was in trouble. So Biden said, let's have the debate in the summer. That's never happened literally, and it was his decision. He said, let's do it during the summer. And then that led to his downfall. It was such a bad night for him that he couldn't recover. The polling was horrific. Everybody on both sides eventually said he's got to go. Now Republicans are probably saying, I wish we hadn't said that he had to go, because now fundraising and volunteer activity shows that there's a renewed enthusiasm amongst Democrats, and it's a different ball game.
Just like we did in the DNC, we are this station 620 WTMJ. We're gonna have people from both sides of the aisle. I'm going to bring on Brian Stell, Congressman, tomorrow because I want to hear the other side. But here's the reality, and I just had this conversation off show this afternoon. Polls are suggesting this is a horse race now. Actually, the horse race that many expected with Joe Biden and Donald Trump before all the drama happened, and now we have voters saying, "I want to hear what she has to say," because we don't. You know the talking points, right? Yep. She's not talking to the press. She's not talking to the public. Well, You can't hide from the Democratic National Convention. At some point, Kamala Harris, vice president, presidential nominee, is going to have to speak to the American public. And what she says could change the entire rest of this race.
By the way, I think it's a great strategy, just as a strategy point.
To not
talk. She has all the momentum. She has everything. The fundraising numbers don't lie. The volunteer signups don't lie. She has all the momentum. The polls show her. I just saw a poll that shows nationally, which doesn't really matter because it only matters state to state. But the national tracking poll showed her up by 6 points if you favored everything. So why would you do an interview? I understand us in the media want her to talk and want to question her, but she only has stuff to lose. If she sits down for an interview with 60 Minutes or somebody else right now when she has all the momentum on her side, it can only go one direction. Now, she's going to have to do those interviews. She's going to have to do those press conferences, and she will. But if I was advising her, I would tell her, don't do an interview right now. Let's ride the momentum. Let's get through the convention where you'll also get a bump, and then we'll have to do some interviews. But I understand. I also want her to talk. As a journalist, I think she has an obligation. But as a strategist, hell no, I would never do an interview either.
Especially when the other side, Donald Trump, is talking a lot and sometimes getting himself in trouble.
It's not helping him.
I actually asked the question on my show poll on my show this morning. Do you agree with the statement that she's sort of running away from the press? So I gave you a few choices. Yes, she's hiding. 34%. I already have 300 votes. She's hiding. 34%. No. Pure politics. 51%.
Ooh, that's interesting. What do you think?
I don't make a big deal out of it. Kind of the same thing you said. I think it's smart strategy. Certainly, the less you say before you officially, I know it's already official, but when you get up on that stage Thursday night, or if she does it earlier than that, and you never know. Trump talked about doing that the entire RNC. I think she's in a good place. Why would you?
Why?
What did Wagner used to say? Disrupt the apple cart or tip the apple cart? Why would you do that?
Why would you do that? I mean, right now, say she sits down, she does an interview with Anderson Cooper. She's not going to say anything on policy that leads to a headline like, oh my gosh, smartest woman ever makes. But she could stumble, and that would be the headline, and the Trump camp and others would seize on that. So why? There's no point in her doing any press or any interviews.
What do you expect to get from being down at the DNC this week?
You know, I hope to really get the flavor of what not so much our big-time delegates are feeling. We already know what David Crowley's going to say. We already know what Tony Evers is going to say. And Josh Paul. And we're going to have all of them on the show, by the way. I want to get a feel for what the average person who's now going back to the Northwoods is going to say and do, what the person who's from Eau Claire is going to say and do. And I think it's just, I also am very anxious to make the comparison because we just had it in Milwaukee on everything from tenor and tone and vibrancy to how things are laid out. I want to measure the enthusiasm that I think we all felt. You know, I was inside the RNC, every single night. And to feel that real vibrancy and unity, and I want to compare to what that feels like in Chicago. And what a rare opportunity that they're both this close to each other geographically, and we can cover both of them.
There's some buzz going around today that Milwaukee potentially could be the spot for the 2024 Democratic National. Yeah, I saw some buzz on social media today. It would make sense. Let's be honest, they got screwed in 2020 because of the pandemic. I mean, not you could do anything about it, but it would make sense. And now we've demonstrated, because you were there and I was there. Absolutely.
And
I thought everything was done brilliantly.
Yeah, and if it's not 24, I would be shocked if it's not 28 or 32. I mean, it's definitely coming. The Democrats are definitely going to come here. As long as Wisconsin's in play, it's going to be here. And we've shown we can do it with world-class facilities.
Are you going to try to talk to Charles Benson now? Because I always love when you talk to Charles.
I have Charles on every day. We're going to have Charles on literally every single day at 3:15. Charles is one of the great political minds in our state.
I don't think people realize, because I do the podcast with him once a month, and the conventions he's covered, the interviews with presidents and vice presidents he's done, he's probably the most credentialed, not in the term of having a credential, but having put the time and energy into getting those interviews, chasing them down. And Charles, the best at that. He has probably the most experienced political journalist in the state of Wisconsin.
He does, and we're spoiled because
we are spoiled.
Matt Smith's very good. Bayapor's very, very good. Charles Benson, though, it struck me today. He was on with us today. And he said, in my 40-plus years of covering presidents, and I was like, 40-plus years?
First of all, he doesn't look like he could be old enough to say that.
But he covered Reagan.
Yeah.
And every president since. So he has that institutional knowledge and that base. And I love it because no matter how hard I try to bait him, He won't really give me an opinion about how he thinks an individual politician's doing or what it means. And
I've learned to respect him more than I ever did, even just watching him on TV as someone who we work with here at WTMJ. Now, will we have a Major Garrett appearance?
So here's the deal. I'm going to give you a little inside scoop on Major Garrett. So I reached out to Major Garrett last week, and I said, hey, we want to connect with you in Chicago when you're there. And he said, I'm not going to be in Chicago. And my immediate thought was, you have a health issue? Like, what do you mean you're not going to be in Chicago? He is the chief Washington correspondent. He did CBS Nightly News the last 2 weeks with Nora on vacation. He's one of their main people. I said, what do you mean you're not going to be in Chicago? He said, you won't believe what happened. I was scheduled to be in Chicago. I had my credentials and everything. Even CBS, the organization, is only allowed a certain amount of credentials. He said, once it became Kamala Harris, everybody that didn't want to go to Chicago because that it was going to be a funeral decided they want to go to Chicago. So he said, they came to me and they said, look, you went to Milwaukee, so we're going to give your credential, your slot to somebody else. I said, Major Garrett, you're not going to Chicago? And he said, no, to be honest with you, there's a couple of people here at CBS that have big entourages, and they insisted that their entourage also be able to go. I said, what?
That is behind the scenes.
Are you serious? So he's not going to be in Chicago.
Issue. Well, you can still talk to him.
And we're going to. I said, here's what we're going to do. We're still going to have you on because your perspective will be better than almost anybody that's actually on the ground in Chicago. So we will have him on tomorrow, as a matter of fact. All
right, John's going to stick around for one more segment, then we're going to cut him loose because he's got a busy rest of the week. Here's the sort of the schedule of events. We're hoping to be joined by Kristen Bry from Spanning the State. She's on the scene, trying to get to the United Center.
She's trying to get in there.
She's trying to get where Billstead is. So if maybe we'll even talk to Eric. We'll see how that all goes.
Oh, he's available. You should check in with Billstead.
Yeah, we will do that. And then at 7 o'clock, from the Truth 101.7, Truth in the Afternoon, Dr. Ken Harris will join us. We're going to talk politics, what we expect to hear, what it means in this race. Dr. Ken is amazing when you talk politics with him. I often sit outside the studio here, and we chat about things in the afternoon before his show. He is fascinating to talk to about politics. And we'll have special guests joining us. As I said, we're trying to reach out to a delegate from Wisconsin. John Rick here for a couple more minutes. Yours truly, Steve Scafidi, hosts the Political Power Hour, and a cavalcade, including Dr. Ken Harris, of guests right here where you need to be when we're talking about politics, right? 620 WTMJ.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
This report is sponsored by Diamonds Direct. Your love, their passion.
What's wrong with Rick? He's kind of spacey.
That's Rick's identical twin, Scott. He's not used to answering to Rick.
What's going on?
Rick asked me to keep it secret, but he asked his twin to cover his shift so he could go to Diamonds Direct to shop.
But this is a jewelry store.
Exactly. But the prices and selection are so much better at Diamonds Direct. Rick doesn't want the boss to get suspicious, so Scott's here in case the boss sees Rick at Diamonds Direct.
But that would mean that the boss is at Diamonds Direct, too.
Yeah, we have a lot of secrets.
You never know who you'll run into at Diamonds Direct. With unbeatable direct importer prices, the highest quality diamonds, the most sought-after designer rings, the best customer service, the strongest guarantees in the industry, it's just a no-brainer.
You think if Scott had a mustache, he'd look like me?
Go where everyone goes. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, now open in Wauwatosa.
Don't let spring allergies make you miserable. Try the quick, drug-free solution trusted by over 4 million people. Navage. Only Navage uses suction to flush out your sinuses using refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at your local Sam's Club in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better fast. Check out Navage at your local Sam's Club today. Navage. Navage. Breathe easy.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
Inside the DNC 620 WTM special 3-hour coverage tonight, and we're going to do it again. I'm going to do it again Thursday 7 to 9 is going to wrap up the DNC in the lovely city of Chicago. I was just in Illinois yesterday visiting my 2 daughters who live in the state of Illinois.
Are they going into work? They work in the city, right?
No, they're staying home. So
Okay.
that's
Their company said you're staying home?
Yes, they're a real-life example of what that means. Now, I used to work in Chicago. This is many years ago. I hated driving around. I have no idea, and I'm actually curious, and if you're somebody a little bit later in the show, I want to get to this, 855-616-1620, what it's like getting around in Chicago as just a normal resident or worker. Because, first of all, you have the McCormick Place and United Center are miles apart. Like, ours was all condensed in one area.
Which was so nice.
Which is awesome.
And then the protesters are down like on Michigan Avenue.
Yeah.
And they're all in the commercial area. So it's...
And Dr. Kennedy and I talk about the protests, too, because they broke through a outside barrier this afternoon, but they were then greeted by hundreds of members of the law enforcement
That was a
community.
bad idea. That was right near the United Center.
Yes.
Bad idea.
Here, not to get too political here, but this is a political concern for Democrats. If you mess this up by making protests the center stage, the thing that gets on TV, you will lose any momentum you're going to gain from having Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and this what is always exciting convention happen in Chicago.
So we had a top Wisconsin Democrat on our show. As I was booking the interview before the show, he told me, I don't want to talk about this on the air, but we're worried that will take over inside the bowl, too. That if you start to have this little coalition that has a buzz and a hum, that they're pro-Palestinian and they want their voices heard, and some of them have not yet cast their votes. They have refused to get behind Kamala because they have some sort of weird demands about what happens in Gaza. Yeah, they can't have that. They do not want to have that distraction because the Republicans at least appeared in the building to be very unified. And if the contrast is in the building in Chicago, you have small factions that are withholding their endorsement because they don't like what Biden and Harris have done with Gaza. That's a bad picture for them.
Sort of a side story for me. Remember when we did all our interviews, how often the interviewee would say, I love Wisconsin, I love Milwaukee. I'm curious to know if we'll hear that from the delegates and the dignitaries in Chicago. Chicago's a great city. I'm not downplaying it, although the sports teams are horrible. But Caleb Williams aside, that hysteria has begun, and we'll all live that throughout the season. I'm curious to see what they think of Chicago. They've hosted a few conventions in their time.
I think they're not going to get to see Chicago like they saw Milwaukee.
Probably
Milwaukee,
not.
even if you stay just in our security district, you got to see Deer District, and it was cool if you walked around down there.
It looked amazing.
The bars and restaurants, and people were hanging out in front of Fiserv on that plaza, and they were taking pictures, and you could walk to restaurants. The United Center, you cannot do that. I know because I had to buy my parking yesterday for where I'm going to park and then walk a mile and a half to get to the United Center.
Wow, nice. Get your steps in.
Yeah, and I'm not walking by any restaurants to get there. There's no restaurants right around
It's
there.
in a weird place. The United Center is sort of where freeways converge, and there's a lot of business and hotels around there.
And the other thing is, with all of our stuff here close, you could do everything and hang out with your friends, and you could really enjoy our city. If you're at McCormick Place in the morning, like some of our delegations are, and then you got to get to UC, they're going to spend hours just on buses getting to. I think it's not going to be as good of experience.
A little inside baseball, but your facility, your setup for the United Center, what is it going to look and feel like?
So they have all the radio people in an area that is their radio press box during sports events. So it's all set up for radio already. It's up 7 levels. It's near the top of the United Center. So it has a great view. We have a good angle, but it's way up high. But it's already wired for radio. So we will be up there. During the day, we'll go down and collect sound all throughout the day. Then we'll hike up all the way up to the 7th floor and broadcast from up there.
Is this your second convention?
Yeah, I've never done one before this.
That
it was actually one of the
me.
things on my bucket list.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I got to
And you
check
know
that
Chicago
out.
very well.
Yeah, yep. I'm from the Chicago area and still have family
All right,
down
you wanted
there,
to ask me a question.
Yeah,
I forgot what it was.
I'm interested in, Tuesday, tomorrow. It's going to be a very, very interesting day. I find this kind of peculiar. So Kamala Harris is in Chicago tonight. Tomorrow morning, she's going to wake up and she's going to make her way to Milwaukee. She's going to host an event somewhere in Milwaukee. This is mind-boggling. This is what they've been doing. Don't know the time. But she's going to be at Fiserv Forum. She's going to watch the event. Do the event. Then she's going to stay in Fiserv Forum with supporters and watch the DNC at night. And then she's going to fly back to Chicago. I have a 2-part question. My first is, what do you think of that strategy?
I think they're telling you, and they realize how important this state, Wisconsin, is. This state could decide the election. One of several states.
Yep.
I admit that, Michigan as well, and certainly other places around the country. But they understand and are saying out loud with their actions and their schedule, we want to be here too. And you don't typically have two conventions that close together. It doesn't happen that often in our history, so they can get back and forth if they need to. My biggest, I guess, question for that is how many people will show up, do you think?
That's a really good question.
You're going to downtown Milwaukee, you got a park, and you're going to hang out in the convention when you don't even know what time it's going to happen yet.
And you're not going to see the usual people that hug her and kiss her. I mean, Tony Evers isn't going to be there. Cavalier Johnson is going to be there, unless... Could they put them on the plane and fly her to Milwaukee? Well, they're not going to, because they're going to be on the floor tomorrow night with the delegation. They're the delegates, and the ceremonial roll calls tomorrow, whereas she's going to stay at Fiserv, it sounds like, to watch the proceedings on the Jumbotron. It's going to be weird. But the other thing I wanted to ask you about, we've talked about this a little bit on the afternoon show, is this bracketing strategy that the Republicans are using. I had never heard of this before, but apparently it's a thing. Yeah, Eau Claire is a great example. So she flies into Eau Claire. J.D. Vance lands in Eau Claire at their small airport. He walks up to her plane. She's in the motorcade pulling off the airport grounds. He walks up to her plane and calls the media over, and he says, hey, I just wanted to see Air Force Two, the plane that I'm going to be flying in, coming up here. And now he's bracketed her in other states, and he's coming back the same time she's coming back to Wisconsin, like following her around. It seems really weird to me. I don't know if it's to get in her head, if it's to make sure she doesn't get the only media attention on the days she's in a very important state?
I would say it's part of what Donald Trump and his campaign team like to do. It's confrontational.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Be an irritant.
Yeah. And I think, well, I mean, obviously we'll see what the numbers show. And again, polling is one thing. As we're sitting here, we're watching the protesters take down some of the security panels, which is...
That's a bad look.
That is a bad look. And Democrats don't want that, trust me. And when you see police interacting directly with them, that's not a good look at all. So Democrats are going to have to
because this is on CNN. Yeah. This is on CNN. And now, as the convention floor session has begun, they're showing protest video and people getting arrested.
And oh, by the way, this is already impacting travel to the United Center. It's stopping people from getting to, even some delegates are being challenged by this. They're showing the floor now. It's still pretty empty, and there's a lot of empty seats. And they've had speakers all afternoon, and they will continue to do that. Hillary Clinton's speaking tonight. Let me ask you a question: Is that a good strategy to have Hillary Clinton speaking at this convention?
That's an interesting question. I think if you're going to have her speak, it's a good strategy to do it on the same night you're having the funeral for Joe Biden.
Right.
I mean, let's just get it all out of the way at the same time.
Yeah.
I think you have to. I mean, I think you have to let her speak, but I think it's telling that she is also on the first night. She's not speaking the same night as Bill Clinton. With the Obamas, they've decided the popular Obamas, they're both going to speak a little later in the week. I think it's tomorrow. Hillary Clinton, they could have easily had her also speak with Bill Clinton and come out holding hands and come out. They said, now let's put Hillary on Monday night.
So a lot of people ask me, what is the message from the DNC? Because we kind of know what the message was from the RNC. It was all about Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and certainly making America great again, their famous slogan, or making it, all the things that are Donald Trump talks about, the border policy and the economy, making it all great again. So the messaging here, I think we don't know what that is yet, because we have a resurgent campaign because Joe Biden was, let's be honest, failing miserably to challenge Donald Trump. All the polls, even in the safe states, were not looking good for him.
Right.
That switch happened. Now people are wondering, all right, what's the Kamala Harris message? What will that be? If I'm thinking about it from the perspective of someone who hosts a talk show, I'm thinking, okay, so what do Americans want to talk about? Economy, certainly. Gas and groceries. Jim Jordan, when I interviewed him at the RNC, said gas and groceries.
And that's not a great topic for them. That's not a great topic for Kamala Harris.
I saw an attribution today that says she wants to raise the corporate tax to 28%. That's a lot of small business people who don't want to hear that. The dangerous thing is all the goodwill that she has established, even before she officially, whatever this is, accepts, can all be blown up by saying the wrong things on Thursday night.
And she won't, right? I mean, that's the night where it's going to be hope. It's going to be, I think there will be very little policy discussion, and especially policy that's at all controversial. I think she will get up there and she'll talk about the right to choose and how I'm going to protect your freedoms, and she'll talk about that sort of stuff, but she's not going to talk about the border. She's not going to talk about the economy.
You mentioned policy. Everybody says that. I want to hear him talk about policy. Yeah. You know what? I don't think people believe that anymore.
I don't think
I think they like the show.
Yeah, I kind of like the show.
I mean, for doing what we do, it's fun to talk about. But again, at the end of the day, some of this policy stuff matters.
All right, what about this? How do they reference Jimmy Carter? What sort of role does Jimmy Carter get? Is there, on one of the nights, a beautiful film about Jimmy Carter? Do they mention Jimmy Carter at all? He's still alive, and he's a Democratic president, but he was also many would consider a failed Democratic president, but now that he's in bad health.
He's planning on voting, though.
I know. Right, over 4 days, you got 4 days in prime time. Don't you have to, in some measure, reference Jimmy Carter, or do you not?
I would say the proper way for, if I was running the show and I'm not, I would have a short video every night honoring the former president. It's a life well lived. Whatever you think about his politics, and be honest, he messed up the economy badly when he was president. He's certainly done a lot of good things in his life, including all the work building those homes all across the country and his part of the country.
I'm with you. I think you put together, I don't know if it's every night, but you put together a film, and he's a veteran. You talk about his Navy service. You talk about Habitat. You talk about how he's the longest living president. You talk about his marriage to his wife that went on forever. I think you have to highlight him, but nobody's talking about him. And wouldn't it be terrible if he died during the convention?
That would be horrible, yeah. Real quick, I know you look at politics, you talk about politics all the time. Do you have a sense where this election is right now and where it will go? I don't want you to predict anything. Just like, do you have a sense that we're figuring it out? Voters are figuring it out?
I think we're right back where we were before Biden did the debate.
That's what I think. Yeah.
I think we're kind of back at ground zero, and I think a lot of Republicans I talk to are pissed off because I think they thought they had it in the bag. I thought, and if Biden was still running, they probably did. I think it's going to be too close to call. I think I saw the national poll today I referenced earlier. It shows Harris with a 6-point lead. But that takes into account that California has 454 delegates and that sort of thing.
I always disregard that.
Me too. And if you look at the other state polls, it's too close to call. Yeah. Although, and polling, will it be accurate? I don't know. But a lot of states that were toss-up have now gone to lean Democrat. Yeah. It's going to be too close to call.
But they're all in the margin of error.
Almost literally every one of them.
So surprise, surprise, all the states, including Wisconsin, that are in play, will all be close.
And we're right where we were. And that makes me actually very nervous. That makes me really nervous because if every state finishes within 1 point like they did last time, oh, come on. I don't know if we have the stomach and fortitude for that again.
So last thing, a fun one. So I volunteered to work. Whenever you're done on election night, I'm going to work the rest of the night till the morning show.
Whoa.
Yeah. Is that a bad decision?
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm going to be done that at like 9.
No, you cannot cut your hours to get me working more. And I may be joined by like Kristen Bryan, including my guys Bill and Joe might chime in.
That's
as well.
A great idea.
Pizza and politics, at least till midnight. Then we'll start drinking a lot of coffee.
Yeah, you know what? And it's going to be. I think you're going to be going to the middle of the night.
That's what I said.
I think how it should work is that if the election's not called, you stay on until it is, even if it's 4 days.
Through the morning show?
Yes, exactly.
No, that seems crazy.
We'll hook up an IV right here with coffee.
But I'm thinking to myself, I watch it all at home. Why don't I just work so I can get it out of me and talk about all this stuff?
That's a great idea, actually.
Right. But you're not getting out before 9. You're probably going to be working until later than that.
I will. I'm sure we'll be here till 10, 11, 12 anyhow.
John McCure, thanks for hanging around, man.
Hey, this was fun.
I'm just getting warmed up. Hey, 855-616-1620. If you're in Chicago, I know we got a lot of listeners down there. What's it like down there? Tell me what the traffic is. Are you worried about some of the protests that are getting in the way of just living your life, including getting home from work if you are unfortunate enough to have to work in downtown Chicago? We are scheduled to be joined by Kristen Bryan coming up. I'm going to reach out to her. We'll see. We got plenty of other things to talk about. I welcome your involvement as well, 855-616-1620. John, safe travels to Chicago. Well, I'm sure we'll talk during the week.
This was fun. We'll talk tomorrow.
Absolutely. John McCure from Wisconsin's Afternoon News, along with Julia Fellow. As I said, just getting warmed up. You're listening, of course, to Inside the DNC on 620 WTMJ.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
Our southern border is in chaos, with drugs and criminals flowing into our country. But sanctuary cities protect illegal immigrants who commit crimes from being deported. Like an illegal immigrant arrested for battery in Madison. He should have been deported. Instead, he was released back into the community and went on to assault several more women, including a 13-year-old girl. Senator Tammy Baldwin voted 9 times to support federal funding for sanctuary cities that refuse to cooperate with immigration officials and release these dangerous criminals back onto our streets. And Senator Baldwin voted for amnesty for 11 million illegals, including convicted criminals. Call Senator Baldwin, 608-264-5338. Urge her to support S-1068, the Stop Dangerous Sanctuary Cities Act. Stop protecting illegal immigrants and start protecting Wisconsin. Paid for by One Nation, www.onenationamerica.org.
When you have a stuffy nose, life can be a bit unpleasant. Some live every day with a stuffy nose, and that can make life downright miserable. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent, where we are committed to eliminating your nasal breathing problems with simple in-office procedures like balloon sinuplasty, which requires no surgical cuts, little to no downtime, and can have you breathing better in less than 30 minutes. At Advent, we understand your inability to breathe freely limits your quality of life. And that's why we continue to pioneer the most advanced in-office procedures that have made our practice a global destination for those seeking to live their highest quality of life. Visit AdventKnows.com to see if you're a candidate for the balloon sinuplasty procedure. Because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
And this is Steve Scavini, host of Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ. Looking forward to talking politics tonight. Dr. Ken Harris is going to jump in at 7. He's just got off his program, The Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris. I love talking with Dr. Ken. Sort of inside baseball, behind the scenes here at GKB. Him and I, Dr. Ken, we talk politics all the time away from our shows. And he's a guy that obviously comes from a different perspective. He's a former member of the law enforcement community, African-American community, not former, still, of course. And we like to just kind of spar back and forth, but we actually agree on a lot of things. So he will be a part of that story. All right, I understand we have a caller who wants to jump in, so let's hear it. I think it's John from Waukesha. Welcome to the show, John.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. What can I do for you?
Yeah, no, I was hearing about, all of your different thoughts about who's going to win the election. I think that just based off of all the people I've talked to, I think that people are way underestimating Kamala Harris's chances right now, and a lot of Republicans are still sort of carrying that autopilot attitude after Trump got shot with them. I've door knocked a few times with some local county people. There's barely anything really going on outside of the regular mainstay volunteers. And so I think that I think that Kamala Harris stands a much better chance of winning than even the most pessimistic people are giving her credit for.
Let me ask you this, John. I'm going to ask anybody that calls tonight this question. You're a regular guy. You're voting. You plan on voting in November. What is the biggest issue or concern you have as a voter here? Are you in Wisconsin? You're in Wisconsin. So as a Wisconsin voter, what's the biggest thing you're concerned about when it comes to your vote?
I'd say some of the, in terms of I'm Christian, so I'd probably say some of the cultural issues, but I think that in terms of the day-to-day stuff, I have all sorts of friends in their 20s and 30s who make a lot of money, but they can't buy a house anywhere in Milwaukee County, Waukesha County, Ozaukee, Walworth, wherever. But, they have to go all the way up north or out into the boonies to find anything affordable. So I'd say that home prices and just the economy in general.
Thanks for the call, John. Appreciate it. And if you want to chime in, we're going to do a little bit of call action tonight. If we can, we're obviously going to be joined by Dr. Ken in a little bit here. Hopefully, spanning the states, Kristen Bry will join us. I can tell you, again, one of those inside baseball things, there's a lot of hassles getting in and around the United Center because of the protests this afternoon. And unfortunately, some of the barriers were broken down. That's always going to cause a disruption and is always going to cause a major problem for people trying to get in or out. Now, I'm watching as I talk tonight. We have all the networks up. And I'm seeing the inside of the United Center, and the seats are filling up. Obviously, there's a lot of big speeches tonight, right? We're going to have Hillary Clinton, and we're going to have the First Lady of the United States. Joe Biden's going to speak, Dr. Joe Biden. We're going to have, of course, current president. And John and I were talking, John McCure, who joined me at the beginning of the hour. In many ways, this is the last significant speech that Joe Biden may give. Doesn't mean he won't do a farewell speech, because sometimes presidents do that when they're leaving office, especially after they know the results of the election. And for him, who's going to talk probably tonight a lot about his vice president, Kamala Harris, who he selected, if it goes that way, he'll be very happy. And if it goes the other way and Donald Trump is elected president, which For anyone who listens to my show, I have said for a while, I didn't think this was the case a year ago or 2 years ago, but at this moment, either of the two candidates, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, could win. John and I just talked about it. It is a very close horse race. All of these states, the swing states, the ones that really, really matter. California is going to be Democrat by a large margin. That's where all the plurality of vote comes from. And, the Idahos of the world will be voting for Donald Trump. But Wisconsin and Michigan and several other states will decide this thing. It's the biggest reason why tomorrow in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, the nominee for Democrats and the vice presidential nominee, Tim Walz, and Kamala Harris will be here and not in Chicago. And they may do both. If you want to chime in, 855-616-1620 is the WTMJ talk and text line. We're not going to do a lot of that, but if you have a pertinent thought or want to weigh in on what you are looking to hear this week, John and I talked about that. What is the message that presidential nominee Kamala Harris has to give to American voters to not only hold the lead she seems to have built up, but extend it? Because what do we know? Post-convention, the nominees, whether it's a Republican at the RNC or Democrat at the DNC, typically get a bounce. If she gets a bounce and can hold that, much different story going in November. 855-616-1620. We're waiting for Kristen Bry. And don't forget Dr. Ken Harris joining us at the top. We'll take another break here. We are going to cover this thing all week long. Better than anybody. We did it for the RNC. We're going to certainly do it for the DNC. Inside the DNC, right here on 620 WTMJ.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
Emergency service 24/7. Quality Heating has 25 trucks ready to work around the clock to get out there quickly to solve your heating or AC problem. So when that system goes on the fritz and you want to avoid that sweaty summer heat or bypass the fear of frozen feet, the man in the red van can't be beat when it comes to prompt, reliable service. Call Quality Heating for any emergency HVAC need.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
There's a reason why we install Armstrong Air Pro Series systems. When your reputation is on the line, you pick the brand you can trust. It's like our employees. You pick the best to preserve your good name. A guy like me that's been working on furnaces and AC systems for over half my life. I got an eye for the good stuff. And Armstrong Air Pro Series systems fit the bill. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. When you need a good crew installing a system you can rely on, see the man in the red van.
Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
Wake up. Breakfast. And Nature Made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, Nature Made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a walk-up with central air and a skylight, and you found it. Now, every Friday night, you get to fall asleep to the sound of your downstairs neighbors' dance parties. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
We will cover the DNC like nobody else in town, or maybe the state, or maybe the country. We have extensive reporting on scene. We had it today. Eric Bilstead, Kristen Bry is another Inside Baseball. She's in the security line trying to get in the United Center, so good luck with that. And everything's sort of delayed because of these protests this afternoon. I mentioned it with John McCure earlier, who not only did his show today, but also stuck around for a couple of segments. This is a concern for Democrats. If this becomes a protest convention, now, I'm not saying it's 1968, but if it becomes a protest convention, and that is getting all the attention on TV, and there's always been some of that as I've been sitting here tonight watching some of the coverage on CNN. We got Fox up and a few other networks. I think that is a significant issue for Democrats. Now, I got some text. You can certainly join the text conversation, 855-616-1620. This is what had to do with the comments that the caller made about buying a house. This is one that I think is really pertinent now, especially for younger voters. I agree. I'm 27. There's just no shot that anyone around my age will be able to afford a house. Interesting comment because of a couple of things. One, as somebody who used to work as an elected official, I argued over and over again what we're missing in the construction building equation is affordable, single-family homes. And I was always overruled. Got to have these apartments. Developers want to build apartments. Young people, renters are the story for the next decade or so. And we've built apartments. Every community has certainly done it, Milwaukee included, my city of Oak Creek, Franklin, they're all doing it. But at some point, there's a group of people who want to have a home. And for younger voters, they want to share the same reality that my generation had and my parents before me, that you could have a decent paying job and buy an affordable starter home. Now, I will say this, not to criticize young people. An affordable starter home is not a 3,500 square foot home with a 3-car garage and a acre behind the house. If that's your reality, you're going to have a hell of a time affording a new home. But if it's a 1,500 square foot home in an older neighborhood in a popular suburban community or in parts of Milwaukee, that's your buy-in. So I would say scale down those expectations. From the 414, I love when people critique. Steve, I think you, along with the media, hype up the closest to the race simply for ratings. If you think Trump has the slightest chance, you're delusional. I disagree. And I'm not a Trump fan. Anybody listening to the show knows this. But I also respect both parties. And I understand the will of the voter decides this. We live in the world of polls, right? We have polls all the time. Polls on the issues that are paramount to people's minds when they go to the polls, right? And what people want to do with their vote. That's why I asked the caller what the issue was, and it was homeownership. But when you talk about issues like abortion, women's health, when you talk about immigration, border policy, I'm going to have Congressman Brian Stile on my program in the morning tomorrow, I think at 9:35, talking about Republicans' perception of what the Democrats are talking about at the first night of the DNC. All right, got to take another break here. You are certainly welcome. You can join the conversation, 855-616-1620, right here on 620 WTMJ.
For your next exterior remodeling project, we know you're not asking a lot from us. You want the right products for your situation, you want a few different financing options that can make your project affordable, and you want us to do a good job with minimal disruption to your life. And this one's important. You want a warranty that matters. And we know that checking every box makes all the difference. You might be surprised at how many moving parts go into it, but we have just the right people in all the right places to pull that off every day and make it look easy. The company we have took us 21 years to build. It's an awesome place to work because we never stop improving it. And we think we can do this work so well that we can actually change the reputation of exterior remodelers long term. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Ask about our finance options.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Anti-Procrastination Officer Brian Wickert. Most homeowners and home shoppers have heard the Federal Reserve will cut rates by 0.25% in mid-September. Well, I have great news. When it comes to mortgage rates, it's like the cut has already happened. That's how markets work, and it means there's no reason to wait to either start or resume your home search because most 30-year fixed-rate loan scenarios will now have a rate and APR that starts with the number 6 instead of 7-point-something. The already lower mortgage rates also mean the refi window of opportunity is open for folks who bought their homes earlier this year or late last year with a rate in the mid to high 7s. If you can save $1,000 a year in payments and spend less than that in refi loan cost, do it. AccuNet can also typically offer a genuine no loan cost refi, which makes lowering your payment a genuine no-brainer. Don't wait. Click on the blue button today for a no-pressure refi checkup or to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
Night one of the DNC from Chicago, just, 85 miles south of here, where we sit in downtown Milwaukee, hosted of the RNC last month. And some of the texters are asking, well, what's going on down there? Well, a lot of interviews by the dignitaries. I see Pete Buttigieg talking to one of the CNN hosts, and I see Laura Ingraham talking to a few folks here. And don't forget, even though it's a DNC, Fox is still there, Newsmax still there. That's the great thing about these things. They don't exclude the other side, and I think I'm fair in saying that Fox is not going to be DNC friendly, but that's the cool thing about this. That's the excellence that is America, for those who like to criticize this, what I think is the greatest country on the planet. That's the real part of the story. Now, so just give you a kind of sense of what they're doing. They just officially approved the platform for Democrats. Now, in somewhat embarrassing fashion, because apparently it was written before the current president, Joe Biden, dropped out. So there's many references in the document to his second term. That's like a big ouch or whoops. Shouldn't happen. There's computers now. All you do is put the search phrase, take them all out. Someone got lazy. They just confirmed, the delegates did, roughly about 15 minutes ago, Governor Tim Walz as the nominee for vice president before the crowd burst into USA chants, which is always good. And RNC, DNC all had a lot of that stuff. I wonder if the house band is better than the RNC house band was off the charts amazing. Off the charts amazing. I wonder if they'll beat that. What else is going on? Jesse Jackson, very controversial civil rights figure. He doesn't speak anymore. He's 82 years old, used a wheelchair, waved to the crowd, blew a kiss. So that's going on. Maxine Waters spoke, very controversial California legislator. She asked a question to the audience, is this America? I don't know, is it? Voters will decide that. The mayor of Chicago, very heated speaker. He mentioned his past as a social studies teacher, talking about his classroom days, worked as an organizer for the powerful, very powerful in Chicago Teachers Union, and basically welcomed all the delegates and the visitors to Chicago to the convention. Lots of praise for Chicago. And look, I like to beat up on Chicago because it's they have horrible sports teams right now. And not to deviate into sports, but I've just about had enough of the Caleb Williams buzz. How about letting him play a game or two before we anoint him as the savior of Chicago football? Just my thoughts there. So if you're a Bears fan, don't want to hurt your feelings, but let's play some games because we all know what happened in the Packers-Bears rivalry since, 1996. Not good. The Democratic National Committee Chair, James Harrison, spoke. The convention committee chair, all speaking to the delegates. And it's a cavalcade of speakers, as I said. Hillary Clinton, First Lady Joe Biden, and then, of course, President Joe Biden will speak tonight. And I just wonder what kind of speech he's going to give. Obviously, all this stuff is teleprompter now. There's not much extemporaneous, except when Donald Trump did his, what is now legendary, hour-and-a-half acceptance speech at the RNC here in Milwaukee. We'll take another break, and we'll walk it up to top. And don't forget, after the top of the hour news, quick news update, Dr. Ken Harris from the Truth 101.7 will join us for a interesting and fascinating and maybe even controversial conversation about American politics. Dr. Ken Harris, Truth in the Afternoon on 101.7. You are listening, of course, to Inside the DNC right here on 620 WTMJ.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
You wake up feeling like you just boxed 12 rounds. Some wake up sweating with sore jaws, headaches, and a lot of our patients complain of brain fog. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula, and these signs, often joined with snoring, are sleep apnea symptoms. And if this sounds like you may have been in a struggle last night between you and this serious disorder. Many people aren't willing to fight back. But the fact is, you can't go through these nightly struggles without ramifications that each night chip away at your life's expiration date. I get it. You don't want to wear a CPAP mask. You may find out you don't need one. We have every effective sleep apnea solution available. And believe me, the mask is the last resort.
Solving your breathing triangle problem can lead to better sleep and a better quality of life. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
WTMJ's Brandon Snide here, joined by Leslie Smith from Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. And Leslie, last year was the beginning of it, but you added another year. And rumor has it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, another day? Well, you got to fill me in on what is going on at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson.
Oh, yeah. So we totally wanted to play with this one and have a little fun. So everyone was typically used to the rally in September. Figured, we'll give them a Saturday. It went really well. And I was super excited because I went to the higher up and said, let's do 2 days. And he said, okay. So I'm running with it. So we're going to do our second year of the Not Rally, but we're going to do Friday and Saturday, August 30th and 31st, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have some pretty awesome bands set up. So there's 2 bands each day. I'll have food trucks, vendors, just all kinds of fun. And it's right before Labor Day. So, what better way than to celebrate on a Harley and come out and party with us?
Sounds like an incredible time. There's no sign up, no need to put your name on the list. You just show up and you have a blast. Motorcycle, music, and of course, tons of great food.
This is all free. There's no ride. You ride your own ride. You have fun. You come hang out and then go take another ride. So you're totally going to have a fun day. Fun 2 days, actually, with this Not Rally.
And you don't have to register. You can go out there. They got food, trucks, vendors. And of course, Leslie, Harley-Davidson's all over the showroom floor. So it doesn't hurt to come out there. You won't want to miss Wisconsin Harley-Davidson's second year of the Not Rally. And of course, that was Leslie Smith from Wisconsin Harley-Davidson in Oconomowoc. You can learn more about everything going on at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson at WISHD.com. Of course, you can like and follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Wisconsin Harley-Davidson, your destination dealer.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Who do you support?
I'm sorry?
I want to know which side you support.
Oh, we support the right.
Ah.
And the left.
What?
The front and back, too.
I don't understand.
No matter which side you sleep on, we support you. And right now, we're providing extra support.
How's that?
Purchase a new Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, or Serta Perfect Sleeper through Monday and get a strong, supportive box spring free.
Oh.
Shop an employee-free showroom and get a Beauty Sleep by Beauty Rest Elm Cove Sea Queen mattress. Others sell it for $1,799, but Hasselus has it for just $942. Check out the super low pricing on Sealy Posturepedic and Serta Perfect Sleeper too.
Wow.
Plus, free next day delivery and haul away of your old mattress.
And a free box spring?
Yes, because you deserve our full support.
Well, you got my vote.
Now through Monday at Hasselus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find a self-service employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
Our southern border is in chaos, with drugs and criminals flowing into our country. But sanctuary cities protect illegal immigrants who commit crimes from being deported. Like an illegal immigrant arrested for battery in Madison. He should have been deported. Instead, he was released back into the community and went on to assault several more women, including a 13-year-old girl. Senator Tammy Baldwin voted 9 times to support federal funding for sanctuary cities that refuse to cooperate with immigration officials and release these dangerous criminals back onto our streets. And Senator Baldwin voted for amnesty for 11 million illegals, including convicted criminals. Call Senator Baldwin, 608-264-5338. Urge her to support S-1068, the Stop Dangerous Sanctuary Cities Act. Stop protecting illegal immigrants and start protecting Wisconsin. Paid for by One Nation, www.onenationamerica.org.
At Blaine's Farm and Fleet, we can get you the farm supplies you need because we get you. Right now, it's our summer farm sale, which means unbeatable prices on trusted brands. Like 5 gallons of Mystic Super Heavy Duty Diesel Oil, $49.99 after mail-in rebate. Kurt 1,000-pound Swivel Jacks, $59.99. And all Peak Vehicle Lighting, 20% off for rewards members. Plus, we've been working with our brand partners to get prices down. So shop our new, lower everyday prices throughout the store at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
$1 doesn't buy much unless you're spending it at Griffin. For just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. This is Jim Griffin. Any major brand, $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. We'll even show you the invoice to prove it. Our only requirements, we put them on for you. Buy one or the whole set. The dollar deal from Griffin. Milwaukee, Waukesha, Fort Atkinson, and Jefferson. Griffin. The buck stops here. The deals on tires don't. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers. This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
We are broadcasting live from our studios here downtown Milwaukee, but all the political action is just south, 85 miles south in the United Center in McCormick. Is it Center Place? McCormick Place? I think it's McCormick Place. The DNC happening. I'm watching all the networks, and they're sort of going back and forth between the speakers, of which there are many. On any night or day, there's probably dozens of speakers. Most you don't really see or hear because they're not really covered that much. But tonight's Dr. Jill Biden and others will be speaking. So here's what's coming up next hour. Dr. Ken Harris will join us. So looking forward to that from the 101.7 Truth. The Truth in the Afternoon is his program. Fun to talk to Dr. Ken. It'll be great to do a couple hours with him about politics, what he expects to see here, and all the things swirling around this race, which is now very, very close, as John McCure said. And I think most of our texters, little text cleanup before we get to the break for news from ABC. Steve, I just tuned in. Happy to hear you. Absolutely love that. Thanks for tuning in to me tonight. Steve, I'm like you. This is from Greg in Pewaukee. This election is within the margin of error in the swing states. All it will take is one thing to flip who wins. That's what I see. This is a very, very close race, and any little mistake or misspeak could really flip a state or two, and then the whole thing flips. That's how close this is. Obviously, you get into that magic number. I think it's 270 for electoral votes. And then the drama starts because whoever doesn't win is going to be complaining. And I know this because I've been reading a lot about the election post. Both sides have hired large armies of attorneys. That's not surprising. ABC News is next.
You know, plumbing is kind of like the human body, a complex network of curvy, twisting pipes that keep vital fluids moving and your home grooving. And just like the human body, sometimes your plumbing can get a little backed up. When this happens, it's good to call in a professional, like Mr. Holland's Home Services. Sure, there's a shelf full of over-the-counter remedies to choose from, but let's face it, those do-it-yourself drain cleaners lack the potency to power through your plugged-up pipes. We may not have a GI doctor on staff at Mr. Holland's Home Services, but our proficient plumbers do have extensive experience in eliminating impactions, cleaning up clogs, and de-straining drains. Mr. Holland's crew navigates your pipes, joints, elbows, and T's to keep water flowing to where it should be going. Call 866-992-1717 or visit MrHollandsHomeservices.com. If your home's plumbing is asking for a laxative, we can help.
Do you fancy yourself a purveyor of fine artisan wares?
Huh? Do you like nice things?
Your curated collection deserves a delightfully decorous display.
Did you swallow a thesaurus? Show off your treasures with the Auden Entertainment Center.
Crafted in the USA from solid wood to accommodate almost any size TV.
The Auden shines a light on your favorite things. Literally.
The ample display space is enhanced by 2,000 lumens.
Or hide your most precious possessions behind doors or in drawers.
Okay, Mr. Highfalutin, let's see your collection.
Is that a bobblehead?
Careful, it's fragile.
Beanie Babies?
Those are gonna be worth millions someday.
And a bunch of family photos.
Of course.
But these people aren't your relatives.
Nope, those photos came with the fancy frames.
The Auden Entertainment Center, starting at $36.89 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a good karma brand station.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. The FBI and other U.S. intelligence agencies officially confirmed that the Trump campaign claimed recently about foreign cyber hacking. ABC's Rachel Scott.
Top U.S. intelligence officials have concluded that Iran attempted to hack into the presidential campaigns from both parties, all in an effort to try to influence and interfere in the upcoming November election. It's unclear what or if any information was obtained, but those U.S. intelligence officials making it clear they will not tolerate foreign interference in our elections.
Iran denies it. A historic Democratic National Convention is underway in Chicago, where ABC's Mary Bruce is.
Tonight, President Biden is passing the torch to Kamala Harris, but so too is Hillary Clinton. We all, of course, remember when she took the convention stage here back in 2016, becoming the first woman to accept the nomination of a major party. Now, a second chance of sorts. Clinton lending her support to Harris, hoping to finally put a woman in the White House.
Gaza war protesters outside the United Center convention site's outer security barriers, where ABC's Matt Gutman is.
Police still trying to impose control. Riot police from both sides squeezing these protesters who've been marching for hours here, demanding that the Biden-Harris administration impose an arms embargo on Israel and an immediate ceasefire, but it devolved into chaos as soon as they started breaching this fence and pouring inside.
Several arrests have been made. A federal judge has rejected the latest attempt by Hunter Biden to dismiss several tax-related charges he faces in Los Angeles, all but ensuring that the case will go to trial as scheduled early next month. Ex-New York Congressman George Santos pleaded guilty to wire fraud and identity theft today.
It's clear to me now that I allowed ambition to cloud my judgment, leading me to make decisions that were unethical.
Sentencing in February, prosecutors seeking years in prison. Santos ordered to pay $200,000 in restitution, but his lawyer says he doesn't have it, but will try to get it. You're listening to ABC News.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Prosecutors in Los Angeles announced murder charges against 4 people in the shooting death of General Hospital actor Johnny Wachter during a robbery in May. LA County District Attorney George Gascon.
They have each been charged with 1 count of murder, 1 count of attempted robbery, and grand theft. Leonel Gutierrez has been charged with attempted robbery and grand theft.
Wachter was shot when he confronted a group of men attempting to steal the catalytic converter from his car one night. A Texas jury is deciding if the parents of an accused school shooter are responsible for financial damages.
Galveston jurors resuming deliberations today on whether the parents of Demetrios Pagorchis, accused of killing 10 people in a 2018 school shooting, should be held financially liable. Victims' families seek over $1 million, arguing the parents failed to address their son's mental health and secure their firearms. The defense insists the shooting wasn't foreseeable. The case echoes the recent sentencing of Michigan parents James and Jennifer Crumbly in a similar tragedy, though Pagorchi's parents face no criminal charges. Dave Packer, ABC News.
The capital murder case against him has been on hold since 2019 when he was declared incompetent to stand trial. He's being held at a state mental health facility. U.S. and South Korea kicked off military exercises today. Drills include computer simulations and field exercises. North Korea's government accusing the U.S. and South Korea of practicing for an invasion. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Give Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
This report is sponsored by Diamonds Direct. Your love, their passion.
What's wrong with Rick? He's kind of spacey.
That's Rick's identical twin, Scott. He's not used to answering direct.
What's going on?
Rick asked me to keep it secret, but he asked his twin to cover his shift so he could go to Diamonds Direct to shop.
But this is a jewelry store.
Exactly. But the prices and selection are so much better at Diamonds Direct. Rick doesn't want the boss to get suspicious, so Scott's here in case the boss sees Rick at Diamonds Direct.
But that would mean that the boss is at Diamonds Direct too.
Yeah, we have a lot of secrets.
You never know who you'll run into at Diamonds Direct with unbeatable direct importer prices, the highest quality diamonds, the most sought-after designer rings, the best customer service, the strongest guarantees in the industry. It's just a no-brainer.
You think if Scott had a mustache, he'd look like me?
Go where everyone goes. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct. Now open in Wauwatosa.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now to the race for the White House. The former president now agreeing to debate Vice President Harris.
October 7th would have never happened. Russia would have never hit Ukraine had the election result been called differently.
But Donald Trump does not want to fix this problem. Be clear about that. He has no interest or desire.
This is the most important election of all our lifetime.
This is Impact 2024. Inside the DNC, here is your host, Steve Scafidi.
Oh, not just me. Dr. Ken Harris is alongside. When Mike Spalding, our content guy and boss, said, you know what? Dr. Ken and you, we haven't had an opportunity to do this.
Nope.
I'm geeked about this.
No, we did it like once on a Sunday night.
Yeah,
kind of jumped in, and there
right.
was like 9,367 people here.
And I was telling the story with
Yeah,
John McCure before that you and I spend some time away from our shows talking about politics, so this is perfect. So we're going to spend the next couple hours talking about all this stuff. I got to ask you from the start, and first of all, how was your show today? Good?
It was great.
Great
And
as
yours?
always?
As always.
I
as
love the
yours.
show today because Monday's my journal. Hey, we got extra music. Monday's my journalism day, so I had some pretty high-profile journalists. So, all right, so you are not just someone who talks about politics and everything on your show, 4 to 6, Truth in the Afternoon, Dr. Ken Harris, award-winning, by the way.
Thank you.
I remember you winning that award last year. I was jealous, and I'll admit that on the radio. I was jealous because I've never won that award, so congrats on that. You're watching.
Hey, it only took me 40 years, right?
Whenever you get it, it's still good.
That's right.
There's no time. There's no time expiration date on that. All right, so you're going to watch the DNC not only as someone who does what we do, but also as a voter. What are you expecting to hear and see at the DNC?
I want to hear something different. I've heard all the pontification from the RNC and the DNC and the Trumps and the Harrises, and I want to get to know her. I had a great call, and I don't know if you have the audio. I don't know if it would even be appropriate to play it. But last night, there was a guy that called in from Illinois, black guy, and he said, I don't know who the vice president is. All I know are faults that other people have said. I know
see.
people she has dated, but what are your core values? What are the things that you hold? This is it. It's sacrosanct. It's not changing. When you get me, you get this. Nobody has any clue.
Well, and that's part of the job of, I think, the media, to tell the story beyond all the political nonsense which fills all of the airwaves and all the TV stations and networks, and actually understand who this is. Now, here's where it really hits the ground, hits the road. She has an opportunity, Kamala Harris, vice president currently,
right?
Now nominee,
right?
Officially, I think, this afternoon. And she'll accept the nomination on Thursday night, and will speak to the nation. This is when you tell us your story.
Right.
There's no one that's going to...
Absolutely.
If she doesn't have editing control, she's doing it wrong, because this is a speech she's hopefully writing.
If you're going to take over, take over. If you're going to be the titular head of the Democratic National Committee, be the head.
Now, you've watched her...
Yes.
Again, from the media's perspective, because we don't often know a lot about vice president. It's all about the president now. Trump, obviously the nominee for Republicans. Do you make anything out of the fact that, and I get a lot of texts like this, and I'm getting them tonight as well, well, she hasn't done a press conference in 25 days.
Well, what does that matter?
I don't know.
What does that matter?
Is that important?
No.
Is that what we're waiting for?
But I think what happens is when Donald Trump does a news conference, he says what he's going to say, takes about 5 minutes. And then he spends another hour and a half, I don't know what you want to call it, bloviating, pontificating.
Saying all kinds of stuff.
Back and forth. And then he'll say a gym, and then he'll go back to, and everybody there knows that. He's been consistent as president, before he was president, when he was on TV, and now. We don't really get that from the vice president.
Let me ask you this about Donald Trump. You've watched him now. You've seen him as president. Yeah. What do you make of him?
While he was president, I only care about what you do while you're in office. So when it came to things that were important to me and my family, I've come to the realization that people vote to protect what they have. And so I've used that since I was probably 18 years old, 21. No, back in the day it was 21 when you had to vote. And that's what I've used. So it didn't bother me to vote for a Republican or a Democrat or a Libertarian or an Independent, because the person that allowed me personally, locally, to have that understanding of how to take care of my family and community and neighbors, I was okay with that.
Do you think he's trying to rewind, essentially, his 2016 campaign?
I think he has to remind people what that was and remind people the things that he did, because people still miss the fact that the market was great and jobs were great and interest rates were down and gas was cheap and food was... but then people say, well, you sound like you're supporting Trump. No, those are facts that the government put out.
I've said this before. If the pandemic doesn't happen, he probably would have won a second term.
He would have won a second term.
And we wouldn't even be talking about this anymore.
Right. And it's not that his administration messed up the pandemic. Anybody that was in office, I think the misfortune was listening to the CDC and listening to Fauci make it up as he went along.
Yeah, a lot of analysis and review, obviously post-pandemic, and how dismal some of that official response was in all communities across this country and around the world. All right, we got a special opportunity. We're going to be joined by Kristen Bry, who's at the United Center. We'll get a flavor for what that sounds like.
Absolutely.
After the break. Kristen Bry spanning the state. Dr. Ken Harris, Steve Scafidi from The Morning Show, Dr. Ken, Truth in the Afternoon, 1017, 4 to 6, if I recall correctly.
That is correct.
Yes. More of this after this.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. When you have over 20 HVAC techs working with you that each have over 20 years of experience, it gives you confidence to be able to go out there and talk reliability, integrity, value, all the things that matter when you hire someone to get the job done right the first time. These words mean everything to us, and we know they mean a lot to you. And that's what you'll get when you hire the man in the red van.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
Now's when the summer heat is working your AC system into overtime. And after this long, it may be on borrowed time. But some of these systems really can't last, especially Armstrong Air Pro Series systems. When your AC system says its final goodbye, think of the man in the red van and the over 60 years of experience that Quality Heating brings to your home. To get your new Armstrong Air Pro Series AC system installed right and right away.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
How do we keep our prices so low? That's easy. We've removed the middlemen. Yep, most landscape suppliers have a couple of them in there, and that's okay. But each one of those men in the middle means a higher cost for your mulch, decorative stone, flagstone, and boulders. Feel free to check around. For the quality of our products, you won't find better prices. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. You know, most mulch is reclaimed from landfills, but Erickson's mulch is ground from whole trees. Yep, we process the mulch ourselves to keep the prices nice and low, and use only premium colorant so the beautiful look of new mulch lasts. At Erickson's, we never skimp, and that's why first-time shoppers become repeat customers. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
Steve's committee along with Dr. Ken Harris, and he's already getting love on the text line, 855-616-1620. I love when Dr. Ken is on and allowed to share his viewpoint and experience. I'm not bringing him on. We're not bringing him on to not do that.
I thought I was going to fall aslead.
I love his conversation. Oh, I'm getting tired. I've been up since 5. I don't know when you get up, but you get up pretty early too.
Yep.
But I'm good. I have an easy day tomorrow, so don't feel bad for me. Somebody made this comment on the text line. I want to ask you about this. I sort of alluded to it during the break. You don't have to know her. You just have to vote for Kamala Harris. No, that's not how it works. No. We want to know the candidates we're voting for. Yep. I think we all know who Donald Trump is.
Right.
I have friends and family who absolutely love Donald Trump.
Right.
And that's not going to change.
Right.
He could almost, I almost hesitate to say it, he could almost do anything, and they're still going to vote for Donald Trump.
Right.
I don't know if people know Kamala Harris like that. You said that before. We don't know her yet.
But they're going to vote Democrat.
Yeah,
and
there are those people.
And I've got friends that said, their parents are 10, 15 years older than me, live out of state, and the first thing they'll say is, if I don't vote Democrat, my mother will kill me.
You know what I say to that? Don't do that. Don't do that anymore. Right. That's what's gotten into this mess.
That's
Dr.
how
Ken.
we got here on both the Republican and the Democrat side.
That's silly.
People just stuck. And so when you have a group like the RNC and the DNC that won't allow a third party to rise to the power because they set the bar so high that no one can get a coalition together to meet their numbers, their percentages, to be on anything, you'll never hear from them.
My libertarian friends tell me that basically what you just said, we have to be allowed in. Right now, they can get some attention.
Right.
Every libertarian I know is always fascinating to talk to. I actually, in some ways, I sort of identify with the things they say. Not all of it, but some of it. And there's just not been a sort of a crossing over to allow them to be an active member in the election. They're always at the margins.
And so part of that, two things that scare me. One, we keep talking about getting rid of the Electoral College. And I said, if you think you have race relations and issues with regions now, you get rid of the Electoral College and about 4 or 5 states are going to vote for everything, and there's nothing you can do.
There would be no choice.
There would be no choice.
We get the California vote.
So the trick to that would be then to use the same thing when you vote, but switch over to a parliament. So when you get there, your job is to get with other people who are like-minded and then create your coalition and be in the majority.
We're of similar age. In our lifetimes, will we see a viable third party?
No.
Really?
But I'm optimistic because we also say we wouldn't have a black president.
We might have a black female president.
We might have a black female president. And the thing that disturbs me more than anything is when we can step back away from race, can we find out whether or not the person is qualified? But we never quite get there because of all this other stuff and the fact that there's only 2 parties. We keep hearing that, like literally, other than 3 or 4 things on their plank, it's the same party.
Yeah. They don't differ that much.
They don't differ that much. And now the Democrats are talking about, the Republicans are talking about liberty and your personal right. Weren't we talking about that in the 1970s and 80s with the Democratic Party?
The traditional models of Democrats and Republicans have just been blown out of the water.
Right.
All right, so we have Eric Bilstead, who's down at the United Center. We have Kristen Brown. We're going to get one or both of those folks on. I want to ask you this before we go to break. We're going to go to break in a couple of minutes here. I was interviewing Dan Simmons this morning. He's doing some reporting. He did some great reporting last year talking to black male voters.
Right.
Back when he interviewed them last year, they said, we're thinking about voting for Trump.
Right.
Now, this year, when he went back and revisited those same voters,
right,
they want to give Kamala Harris a chance. I sort of asked you that in a different way before, but how realistic is that? Do you think that's a real thing? That it's not a switch. It's
Right.
just, they're just more open-minded about how they're going to vote.
In my estimation, one thing is like everybody, right? There's certain human conditions, race, culture, all that stuff that flow in when you have to make a decision. But the first part I talked about, protecting what you have. If you're at that age and you're in your business and you're working and you got a salary and you're not paying a lot of taxes and all that, and they want to pay more, I'm going to vote for the guy that's going to say, hey, take it easy, you're going to take more money and all that. That's Trump. But then the black woman comes in and everybody in your group is push, and now you keep your mouth shut because you go, well, I said I was voting for Trump, so.
I said the other day, women are going to decide this election. You agree with me?
No.
Why not?
Because...
Well, you can't agree with me.
Well, one, because I'm a contrarian. Two, there's not enough women that are going to sway men to cross over.
Interesting. They won't convince their husbands.
They won't convince their husbands.
Or partners.
There is a coalition, and we can talk about it when we come back. There's a coalition of a group that I had a discussion with a person over the weekend that got pretty heated. And because they don't understand it, I'll explain it. And it's Kamala Harris being a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
I got to ask you about your Sunday night pal, Denise, too. I want to curious on her thoughts about the election.
Okay.
Maybe she's listening. Do you think she's listening?
No, she's out of the country.
She is?
Yeah.
What a life she lives.
Yes, she does.
That was lovely, talented teammate of ours. All right, Dr. Ken Harris, Steve Scafidi, inside the DNC. You're listening, of course, to 620 WTMJ.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Anti-Procrastination Officer Brian Wickert. Most homeowners and home shoppers have heard the Federal Reserve will cut rates by 0.25% in mid-September. Well, I have great news. When it comes to mortgage rates, it's like the cut has already happened. That's how markets work, and it means there's no reason to wait to either start or resume your home search because most 30-year fixed-rate loan scenarios will now have a rate and APR that starts with the number 6 instead of 7 point something. The already lower mortgage rates also mean the refi window of opportunity is open for folks who bought their homes earlier this year or late last year with a rate in the mid to high 7s. If you can save $1,000 a year in payments and spend less than that in refi loan cost, do it. AccuNet can also typically offer a genuine no loan cost refi, which makes lowering your payment a genuine no-brainer. Don't wait. Click on the blue button today for a no-pressure refi checkup or to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
Gorgeous new roofs, showstopper siding, or classic brick and stonework. How about modern windows and regal doors that'll make your chin hit the floor? To a lot of people, having these things can really make them enjoy where they live. It makes them proud. But there's always one thing standing in the way. How do I make that happen? At Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, we have excellent financing options for most people in most situations. 12 months, no interest, no payments, and exceptional rates for long-term loans that will beat your bank with no additional fees or hidden costs. You can go to SemperFiRoofing.com to apply for your pre-approval today. We want to make any project affordable to almost any person, and we've gone out of our way to find partners that can help make it happen for you. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Ask about our finance options.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
Who do you support?
We support the right. And the left.
What?
The front and back, too.
I don't understand.
No matter which side you sleep on, we support you. And right now, we're providing extra support.
How's that?
Purchase a new Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, or Serta Perfect Sleeper through Monday and get a strong, supportive box spring free. Plus, free next-day delivery.
Well, you got my vote.
Find a self-service, employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Nagging pain lasting for months, difficulty performing everyday tasks, not moving like you'd like, it's time to see the doctor. And I recommend Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Anytime I've needed care, the appointments are timely, no waiting weeks to be seen, and no pressure to have surgery. It's about getting the right diagnosis and choosing a treatment plan that fits your life. No question where I turn if I'm injured again. The experts in care at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. It's orthowisconsin.com.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
Dr. Ken Harris, Steve Scaffidi from the Political Power Hour. And Dr. Ken, obviously, Truth in the Afternoon, 4 to 6 on 101.7 right here at the GKB studios tonight. We're doing sort of an expanded Inside the DNC. I actually love doing this, and I certainly wanted the opportunity to talk to Dr. Ken. We get a lot of away from the show's time, but this is on the air time. And the texters and callers love you, so good on you. You were going to make a point before the break, and we sort of went to break, and then I want to get back to that.
So there's this thing that whites tend to understand about fraternities and sororities, right? But if you could equate a black fraternity or sorority, the 9 organizations, the 5 fraternities and 4 sororities in the black community, these are organizations that literally got us through civil rights era and everything else that's ever happened. Quiet, right? So if you think about the upper middle class white family going to the country club,
right, and
making deals over golf, for us, it's our fraternities and sororities.
Interesting. So still a powerful group. Collectively?
We are in ours, you can actually join after school. We have alumni chapters where you can join full. Some of them have 100, 200 people in it.
So is this growing in popularity?
No, it's always been popular since 1906.
Okay.
Literally 1904. So
I should ask it this way. Do they have sway in the black community?
They have significant sway. If you find any black person you can use that's in that echelon of politics or religion or business or anything, you'll probably find that they're a member of one of those organizations because it's the linchpin that holds everything together. That movement for her, because she's a member of the first black sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Sorority Incorporated, that's huge.
Do you think I shouldn't say it this way, is the media giving her a fair shake?
I would say no, because they're treating her. I've never known to bite my tongue anyway. They're treating her as a diversity, equity, and inclusion candidate, and it's like she's significantly more than that. Like you're talking about a woman that was the attorney general of the largest state in the union.
DA in San Francisco.
DA in San Francisco, U.S. senator.
That's why I have problems with the characterizations that she doesn't know what she's doing.
Terrible. It's terrible.
And you and I were talking during the break. I think we were talking during the break, maybe during the show. She falls into the trap that a lot of politicians fall into of all ilks and persuasions.
Right.
They spend 5 minutes answering a question they could answer in 30 seconds.
Right.
You don't need to talk long. Just get to it. And she falls into that trap, and she gets herself in trouble.
Those are the folks that give you the talking points, and you just have to figure out which talking point to talk about, but the question isn't a talking point.
What do you see the role of media in this election? What do we need to do? Because we're all sort of doing the same thing. We're talking about the race. What do we need to do?
I think the media should shut up. I think the media should back away, take their time.
All right. Joining us from the United Center, this guy's been busy all day. Eric Bilstead. You hear him in the morning. He's got you can hear the audio behind him. Eric Bilstead, how you doing, my friend?
Good evening. It's a beautiful day in Chicago, beautiful day in the Midwest. I haven't seen the sun in a while, but I hear it's nice outside.
So you and I covered the RNC together along with all our great teammates. What's the biggest difference between the RNC in Milwaukee and the DNC in Chicago?
Logistics. It's all about logistics. It's not even close.
What about planning?
Well, okay. I mean, I guess it depends on what you say for planning. I mean, as far as from what I'm seeing, as far as the itinerary of their program tonight, they haven't missed a beat. They keep rolling. They bring out everyone. In fact, Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez from Wisconsin was just on the stage. They've done a great job with their planning and having speakers in and out. as far as planning everything else, as far as moving people to and from the McCormick place to here, that's a little bit of a different story.
Well, don't you think that's because of
it's Chicago?
Yeah, you got the miles between those two, and then I think the protests interfered. I know Kristen Bry was telling us that the protests got in the way of like a smooth ability to get into the United Center, so that had to be a hurdle they had to get through as well.
Yeah, and the Chicago police superintendent said this morning that he was very pleased with how things went yesterday. He said that they hadn't had many issues, and he was happy with what the protesters were doing and what they didn't do, and there wasn't any real quote-unquote problems. But he did say this morning, but hey, we're not afraid to arrest people. So if we need to, we will. So that was his warning today before things got a little dramatic later on.
But it was Sunday. So who's going to show up on Sunday? I mean,
do you get the sense, Eric, that there's more protesters arriving? Because some of the reports this afternoon were showing fields filled with signs not being carried by anyone. That doesn't suggest a big turnout of protesters.
Well, I do know that, and I didn't have my eyes on it, but I do know that early on when they expected, they said 10,000, 20,000 protesters, something like that.
Yeah.
They had a much smaller number. It reminded me of Milwaukee. Obviously, the numbers are different, but just when they expected all those protesters to be there at the park today, they just didn't have the numbers they were anticipating. Now, clearly, there were still people there. Clearly, there were issues that they had to deal with. But no, as far as being in here, being inside the security zone by the United Center, nothing. I can't see anything even remotely close. And when you walk toward most of the barricaded areas, you're not seeing much of anything there just because of the way this is set up. It's different than Milwaukee. It's not just right next to Old World Third or MLK. It's a different atmosphere. It's everyone's having a good time. The crowd is great, as you would expect at any convention, but it's just not. Milwaukee was just different. I think Milwaukee was smaller, more snug in many ways, and I do think that watching this convention now makes me think Milwaukee will be called upon again someday in the future.
I want to ask you this, Eric, because you and I were both at the inside the Pfizer Forum, and I said at the time when I was doing like the afternoon show with John and Julia, the buzz and energy in that building was amazing. Are you getting that same feel today in Chicago?
Yes, now I was never at McCormick, so I don't know how it was there, but here, once the delegates were starting to get into the building, you could feel the buzz start to grow. And when there was word, I saw President Biden on the stage earlier today doing some mic checks. He didn't speak, the mic was off when he was speaking, but he was doing his checks with the crew. There was a buzz outside because people knew that he was here. So I would say now, especially like looking around, there's still some empty seats here and there, but for the most part, the bowl is really starting to fill up all the way up to the upper deck because they know that there's history going to be tonight. You have Hillary Clinton, which will be a big draw for some, but then you also have the president, quote unquote, passing the torch. And everyone that I talked to tonight wants to be here for that. They are so excited to see the president say goodbye, or I don't know what word to say so long, goodbye, and then pass it on to Kamala Harris.
So what's the electric in the room? If you had to gauge it from 0 to 100 watts, where would you put it at in comparison to the RNC?
Okay, well, it depends on timing. So I'll say this. If you go, as you guys know, because you were there, you've been to these conventions, everyone's talking right now. There's a speaker who's giving a very nice speech on the stage right now.
It's the mayor of Los Angeles, right?
And half the bowl's not listening. Because that's just how but that's normal. The same thing happened at the RNC. It's just people are just kind of milling around. There's a lot of conversation. There's reporters. There's people like commiserating. So I don't know. I'd say at this point, they're about the same. They're both probably, if I would have gauged the RNC at this hour on day one, I'd say they were the same, 6 or 7 on the buzz meter.
Wow.
However, I would believe it will go up dramatically once the president speaks.
Yeah. All right, we're going to cut you loose because you got a lot of work to do. And
all right.
Kudos to you, buddy, because you are working your butt off today for 620 WTMJ. And you're the best of the best when it comes to covering this stuff. Well,
you guys work hard, too.
Not as hard as you do. Certainly not today.
Not today.
We'll hear you in the morning on my way in. Thanks for jumping on the line, Eric.
All right, guys. Be well.
Absolutely. Eric Bilstead joining us from the United Center. After the break, Dr. Ken Harris, Kristen Bry, I want to ask her about all the hassles getting in because she was in all of that.
Yeah.
She'll join us as well. It's Inside the DNC. Dr. Ken Harris, Steve Scafidi. We're just getting warmed up. We're here till 9 o'clock. If you have a question or comment, 855-616-1620. We'll do all of that after this on 620.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstad here. I absolutely love Wisconsin this time of year. It's absolutely heaven, especially on a lake, especially after a swim perhaps, or maybe even water skiing. But again, you know how that goes. You do something like that, then the joint pain really starts to act up. The knees really start to bark. And you know you want to take care of it, but you don't want surgery. Well, there is another way. QC Kinetics. There's exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief in your joints, and the place to go is QC Kinetics, using cutting-edge treatments, but no surgery, no drugs, and here's the best part, no downtime. You can get right back to work the day of your treatment. Call QC Kinetics today and find out what they can do for you. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. This is the future of medicine. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation, 414-285-3474.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
We got all the cast of characters involved on the program. Dr. Ken Harris from 101.7 The Truth in the Afternoon, 4 to 6.
Hey, hey.
Yours truly, Steve Scafidi, Political Power Hour, 9 to 10. Bonus Scafidi, as I like to call it. 6 to 9 tonight. So we'll be here till 9. So if you have a comment or question, 855-616-1620, the WTMJ Talk and Text line. And now the additional person that's going to join us, Kristen Bry, here in the afternoon, spanning the state. I always like to, I like to put my distinction in. I brought her to 620 WTMJ. It's one of my greatest moments, and now she's got her own show in the afternoon.
Well, you know, you got to put an S on that now, because now she's spanning the states.
Yes, because she's in Illinois. She's at the United. I think,
yes,
are you at the United Center finally?
I am currently in the United Center. I am in the Creator Lounge at the United Center. And so I just did a tour of Media Row to see how different it was from what we were doing at the RNC. But yes, getting in here was a bear, to say the least, in the town of the Bears.
So I saw kind of what you were going through.
But yeah,
it's crazy.
So it's been crazy. We drove down this morning and headed straight to a friend that I drove down here with. We left the car at the hotel, and the one thing that actually ran really well was the shuttles from the hotel to McCormick Place, because they're actually taking the shuttles off of the regular streets and driving on the old train tracks. Wow. And so you're actually missing almost entirely what the streets are, and going back and forth on train tracks. And so that actually was quite nice as far as how direct it is. And so then once we got to McCormick Place, I had never been to McCormick Place at all before. It is massive.
Yes.
It is a massive, confusing building. And there was a lot of people. And so trying to get around to the place where you were supposed to pick up credential. And I think like events this size, not everyone has all of the information. So if you talk to one person, you may get a different answer than the other person you just talked to. And so getting my credentials this morning was a little bit of a runaround, but we got those. And then I was able to go on there was a boat situation for creators this afternoon. Gwen Walls was there, so we got to see her. And then the real trick was the shuttles from hotel to United Center, because we got stuck while the situation with the protesters were happening.
Yeah, I want to ask you about
that shuttle
what that was
for over
like.
An hour.
Yeah, well, I mean, they basically stopped everything for a while, right?
They stopped everything. So the shuttles are nice. It's just basically city buses. And we were in the back of the bus. I was trying to post stuff from the day, getting some social media stuff. But then all of a sudden it was just we didn't move. And someone announced on the bus that there was a situation that was being handled and we would move when they were ready to move us. And then even once we kind of like started to pitter patter like towards the United Center, it's a really long time. So then I don't know how much of it was the protesters versus just traffic of just everything is shut down around here. So we finally got out, and the security lines were way longer than they were for us at the RNC.
Bigger city, probably bigger hassles. I want to ask you before we let you go. So tonight you have Hillary Clinton, you have Dr. Joe Biden, you have the president of the United States, current president Joe Biden. What do you expect to hear tonight from a perspective of someone who talks about politics on the radio?
I think it's going to be incredibly emotional tonight when Biden takes the stage. If you think about, there's already a lot of energy in here, like walking into the United Center and just kind of getting hit in the face as far as how many people are running around, how many people are trying to do one thing or the other thing. It was similar to the RNC as well as far as energy levels. But I do think once he takes the stage, because this word has been overused in the last month, but it's completely unprecedented, right? As far as someone choosing to step down so close to the convention and the party uniting around another candidate so seamlessly. And so there is this like handing of the torch that I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of close-up camera shots on people who are crying. But I think it's going to be emotional.
This is the second or third time in history that a president has decided not to run again. And when they decided not to do it, that president died and Truman took over. Are you seeing people really remorseful for having to move Biden aside, or is it they're just saying, hey, this is just what we did and we're moving forward?
I have yet to hear that sentiment, if I'm being totally honest. As far as, granted, it's the first day. It's been not even 10 hours since I got into Chicago. But I have mostly heard excitement and not even really a lot of talk about Biden, if I'm being totally honest.
Okay. And that will change shortly because he's going to speaking, I think, about 9:30 Central tonight, President of the United States, Joe Biden. Christian, we're going to let you go. Have fun at the convention in Chicago. I know you're going to have fun, and you'll do your serious stuff, but also your fun stuff as well. You're doing the scavenger hunt again this time?
Already at 50 points.
Wow. And if you don't know, give people your Twitter handle and all that stuff so they can follow you and all your adventures.
So, yep. If you want to follow me at Kristen Bry, KristinBrey on Instagram. That's where everything's getting posted in real time. But WTMJ is reposting it on all of their socials. And so it's on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
All right. Have fun, but not too much fun. I'll talk to you tomorrow probably.
Not too much fun. All right. Sounds good.
Kristen Bry, she's from Spanning the State along with Brian Noon in the afternoon. I'm joined by Dr. Ken Harris. We are here till 9 o'clock. We are just getting warmed up. There's interesting questions that people are asking on the text line. You can join that conversation, 855-616-1620. And it goes something like this before we go to break. Will the folks in the media hold Kamala Harris, vice president, accountable for her ideas about price controls? And other people are saying, what about Donald Trump's tariff idea? What does that mean when it comes to consumer prices? So sort of both sides of the aisle sort of figuring out their stance on economic policy that actually impacts all of us who have to buy stuff.
That's right.
So we'll talk about that and more on 620 WTMJ.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
One of the biggest innovations I've seen recently is the improvement in fabrics.
Ben and Arvid Huth from Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Stain-resistant fabrics, the pet-friendly fabrics, the kid-friendly fabrics that you can spill something on and clean it right up and it's gone. In years past, you spilled a glass of wine on something, it was done. There was no fixing that mistake ever. It was a new sofa time.
See, now me on the other hand, I'm thinking about that recliner that now has lumbar. I just push a button and, I get lumbar. And push a different button and my head comes forward and the comfort that they're now building in furniture that wasn't there, 10 years ago. It's just amazing where that's come.
Full extension drawers, that's been a big improvement, so you don't have to dig back into your drawer to see what's in the back of it. The drawer comes all the way out.
Whereas 15 years ago, that wasn't used at all.
Well, we were
one of
the first ones to use it.
Yeah, we were on the cutting edge of that, but now it's like everybody's using that. Not the quality ones we're using, but everybody's using some form of it.
See more at pennymustard.com.
There's still a lot of good things happening.
Small improvements all the time.
Yep, it's always something new and exciting.
I was stuffed up. It was almost like someone put a clothespin over my nose. As an athlete, it did affect my performance. And as I got older, the congestion and poor sleep really took their toll.
Mike's a lifetime athlete. After hearing about Advent, he felt he could finally find a solution to his breathing triangle problems.
With my congestion, the kind of sleep I was getting wasn't allowing me to function the way I wanted to.
When your nose isn't working like it should be, it's going to negatively affect your sleep. And then you really can't be at your best at anything that you're doing.
It's been about 5 years since coming to Advent, and what balloon sinuplasty did for my quality of life, that step I took was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Balloon sinuplasty can help solve your breathing triangle problems, which will help you sleep better, and that's going to help you live a better quality of life.
Unlock your potential. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
Do you want the economy mulch or the premium? The only real difference is that the premium mulch has thicker strands, while the economy mulch is finer. But the colorant we use for both is of the highest quality, and that's why the color of our mulch lasts longer. And our mulch comes from trees, not pallets, and we process it all in-house. That's why our prices are so low. Erickson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. At Erickson's Landscape Supply, we have durable, maintenance-free polywood patio furniture and #1 grade treated natural pine Amish-made patio furniture. And we also have a wonderful assortment of concrete benches, statues, and fountains available in a selection you just gotta see to believe. Erickson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less, plus a whole lot more. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection or stop on in today.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
We're covering the DNC just like we cover the RNC. That's probably the only station in town that's giving you that on the radio. Dr. Ken Harris, Truth in the Afternoon, 4 to 6 on 101.7. Dean's Committee Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ, 9 to 10. So a lot of variations on this theme, and let's talk about it for a few minutes. So on Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, she's been talking about price controls. On the other side of the political ballots, Donald Trump's been talking about tariffs. Do you think both of those candidates understand the nuances and realities of those things they're proposing? Because I don't think they do.
I think they understand. I think what they're doing is using it to gin up their base so that their base can look at the other thing and say, that's bad, this is good. But both of them impact price. Both of them impact production. So if you're going to use a tariff on, pick something, a baseball cap.
Yeah, whatever. You
that's
buy
made
shirt
in China.
or shirt from...
a shirt, right?
Yeah.
That shirt that costs, like $1.50 to produce in China, and by the time you ship it over here, it costs $8. And then they sell it to you for $30. If you have tariffs, either that shirt's going to cost more wholesale and then they jack up the price to make up for it, or people here are going to have to produce shirts cheaper than China.
I don't want to insult the voters, but I think both, but I'm going to. But both sides are taking very, very difficult economic equations, tariffs or price controls, and trying to make them real easy to, as you said, gin up the vote.
Well, I'm going to go to Chicago and I'm going to take I-94. You can drive up to Sheboygan or go over to the lake and take the ferry, and then you can take I-94 back the same way, but you're going to end up in the same place. Right? You're going to end up taking I-94.
Right.
You're going to drive into Chicago, and you're going to meet at the same place. And they're going to meet at the place where production and prices intersect, and your supply and demand is going to go whatever way that producer wants it to go. If he wants to absorb it, or if they want to pass it on to you. And I'm 99.9% sure you and I have been long enough to know they're going to pass it on.
So when you look at that question, because we're always told, at least those of us who do what we do, that big issue is, as not my friend, but my interview from the DNC, RNC rather, Jim Jordan, one of the most controversial congressmen from Ohio, he said it's all about gas and groceries, Steve.
Yes.
Gas and groceries.
Yes.
Well, right now, I just filled up the other day. It's $3.09, and it's supposed to be heading south of $3. If you gin up, to use your term, that gas price, and all of a sudden it goes to $2.79 or $2.69, that argument kind of goes by the wayside. Same thing with everything else.
Right.
If the economy, and we're still in this weird dynamic where we don't know, it could go worse, it could get better. Right now, I think the market was up today. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's almost 41,000.
Well,
keeping in mind that not everybody's in the market.
But in the middle of the DNC, and this is the other part that nobody's mentioning, they're going to adjust March 2023 through April 2024, the quarterly employment numbers. And they expect those quarterly employment numbers to go down 250,000 per quarter, which means 1 million people lost their jobs.
That's what you see happening on Wednesday?
And that's what's going to happen on Wednesday. They've already reported that they're going to release, the Department of Labor said they're going to release those numbers. Those numbers are going to have a very definite effect that may alter that Thursday night speech when Vice President Kamala Harris stands up and says the economy is doing great, because 1 million people are going to say no.
We are watching our monitors. We are talking to you, and you certainly welcome your input. Thoughts, comments, questions, 855-616-1620, WTMJ talk and text line. Dr. Ken Harris, 1017 The Truth in the afternoon. Steve Scaffidi, Political Power Hour. I'll be there in the morning tomorrow. Another good show coming up at 9 to 10 right here on 620 WTMJ. Quick break.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
There's a reason why we install Armstrong Air Pro Series systems. When your reputation is on the line, you pick the brand you can trust. It's like our employees. You pick the best to preserve your good name. A guy like me that's been working on furnaces and AC systems for over half my life. I got an eye for the good stuff. And Armstrong Air Pro Series systems fit the bill. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. When you need a good crew installing a system you can rely on, see the man in the red van.
Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
Emergency service 24/7. Quality Heating has 25 trucks ready to work around the clock to get out there quickly to solve your heating or AC problem. So when that system goes on the fritz and you want to avoid that sweaty summer heat or bypass the fear of frozen feet, the man in the red van can't be beat when it comes to prompt, reliable service. Call Quality Heating for any emergency HVAC need.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
This is Brad Youngbooth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. We have two big humps in this business, right before summer and right after fall. And for us, that's when the lines are the longest. Folks usually choose to do their exterior work during those times, and what I'm trying to do here with this message is level out the flow of business so that we don't have to disappoint anyone come November and December because they were hoping to get their work done before the snow flies. I understand where the focus is during summer, but you know what? It really is a great time to get signed up for your exterior work, like siding and windows, because that's when the lines are the shortest, and it's the one time that we're pretty sure we're not going to get any snow. So if you're looking to get your work done, why put it off? The lines are shorter and we'll be ready. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, call Semper Fi, because you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
As the kiddos get ready to get back to school, you can find really great back-to-school savings at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. School supplies and some surprisingly cool clothing too. And teachers, you get an additional discount. Get the best back-to-school bargains at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
When you need to sell quickly, choose Grandview to buy your home, even if it's less than perfect. Don't waste time and money on finding a real estate agent and dealing with showings. We'll buy your home completely as is. No repairs, not even a clean out. Grandview Homes gives you an offer in hours, and we close on the day you choose in as little as 10 days with no closing costs. Visit GrandviewHomes.com for your fair cash offer today. Grandview Homes, the fastest and easiest way to sell your home.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
Dr. Ken Harris and Steve Scafidi here on the Inside the DNC. So we've got an hour left or so, hour plus. So I'm going to put it this way, Dr. Ken, and I want you kind of throw some ideas out as well. I'm more than willing to take calls because we take calls. 855-616-1620, WTMJ talk and text line. I guess if we're going to take calls, I want to know what you're either looking for from the DNC, whatever that is, a speech, a certain speaker. And the other part of that equation is, and we sort of alluded to some of this stuff, is what is the issue that drives you this election? Because I think it varies election to election. What do you think?
I'm going back to the comments about tariffs versus, the price gouging, and we're going to do controls, right?
Right.
So later tonight, they've got joint remarks by 6 union heads. After that, they have Project 2025, Chapter 1 introduction. Somebody's going to be talking about it and chopping it up. I don't think anybody really cares about Project 2025.
I don't know about it. I'm actually doing some research now because I want to do a podcast on it at some point.
It's like 96 pages long. I'm on like page 48. That impact of tariffs and price controls will directly affect the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Service Employees International Union, SEIU, President of Labor's International Union of North America, and the International President of what? The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers.
So how big a role does organized labor play in this election? Because I saw the Milwaukee Police Association.
Right.
They support Trump Vance, but other unions are on the other side of that.
And I thought that was unconscionable, just like I think this is unconscionable, because you're not representing your membership. You're representing what you think will bring you the money you need.
Is that what that play is, you think?
And so the only person that's really making money is the president, because they're the one getting paid $500,000 or so bucks a year to talk to you, to give me your money, where you're still not making that level of money that you should. I'm not saying unions are bad, but I think we need to re-examine how they're used in politics.
I think I know the answer to this, but I want to ask anyway. You come from law enforcement background, obviously, and you've lived that life, and you've lived other lives since. You're an educator. You're certainly a broadcaster. Is the voice of, let's say, police, is it a unified voice from their membership, or is it mixed like everything else?
It's mixed like everything else, and it's significantly mixed. And so when you have a union like the MPA or the Milwaukee Police Supervisors Organization that tends to only lean a certain way because the majority of the people in there lean a certain way, it's unfortunate because you are literally taking money from people but yet not representing them politically.
All right, so we got about a minute here. Next hour, what's your question about this race? What's your question that you want to answer? I'm not going to answer tonight, but at least we can dig in a little bit.
Was the choice of the vice president something that just happened because she was the next person standing? Or are you really open to having a woman as your president?
That's a heck of a tease to the next hour. I want to answer that question. Obviously, we're going to cover this story all week as we have our reporters and our hosts all in Chicago. We'll be here. Dr. Ken Harris on 101.7 The Truth, yours truly on 620 WTMJ. But we have another hour, so you can join us. 855-616-1620. Texts are welcome. We'll take a call if it's a good one. Have a point. Be relevant. Don't go off on a tangent, because we both will hit that button faster than you can say Trump or Harris. See what I did there?
There you go.
All right, news is next on WTMJ.
Hi, everybody. This is Susan Hiller from Hiller Ford on Highway 100. I've got news that could save you a lot of money. Right now, until the end of the month, Hiller Ford is offering 0.9% 66-month financing plus a $2,000 factory flex buy rebate on brand new 2024 Ford F-150s. Add that to Hiller's deeply discounted prices, and that makes for a great time to buy from Hiller Ford. Stop in today and see why so many people love to buy from Hiller Ford.
The Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions!
The Bucks and Six podcast presents a special series commemorating the Bucks championship run in 2021. From the thrilling Game 7 overtime victory against the Nets.
Durant shooting, got it at the buzzer. No, it's a two-pointer.
To the 50-point statement made by Giannis in the finals.
A 50-point game. That's the stuff of legend.
Immerse yourself in the sounds of each playoff round with Bucks and Six on the Bucks Plus audio network. Find it now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
An unsuspecting driver at a Milwaukee barbershop.
I got an apprentice here shadowing me. I'm gonna put this hot towel on, man. About a good 3 minutes, all right?
The apprentice is Donald Driver.
So when you come here, you drive?
Yes.
Your car got seatbelts?
Yeah.
You wear them?
No.
Okay, but why not?
I don't want to.
But do you know you can get a ticket for that? I'm gonna give you a ticket. I bet you wish you buckle up now.
Oh my God. Donald Driver can't always be there to remind you.
Take it, click it. There we go. Click it or ticket.
And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Sponsored by Wisconsin DOT.
Hi everybody, this is Susan Hiller from Hiller Ford. Have you been wanting to get a new vehicle but waiting for just the right deal? Well, that just the right deal is at Hiller Ford today. Hiller is offering 0.9% 66-month financing plus a $2,000 factory flex buy rebate on brand new 2024 Ford Explorers. Top that off with Hiller's already deeply discounted prices, and that's a great deal. Stop in today and see why so many people love to buy from Hiller Ford.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Many Democratic convention delegates in Chicago are paying tribute to President Biden, including Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar.
I believe that he saved democracy when he ran and beat Donald Trump. I was there on that inaugural stage and was there on January 6th making that last walk over the broken glass by the spray-painted pillars to the House of Representatives to make sure that democracy would prevail.
President Biden speaks at the convention later tonight. Among the delegates, a few dozen uncommitted ones who were elected in the primaries by voters who mainly did not support President Biden's policy of complete support for Israel, while tens of thousands of Palestinians suffered. Among them, Violet Olds from Kentucky.
I'm sure we're all going to fall in line when it comes to November, but as for now, we are here to speak as Americans, supporting our Palestinian American brothers and sisters.
There are scuffles with police and some arrests outside the security perimeter of the convention as pro-Palestinian protesters try to make it closer to the United Center. Iran hacked Donald Trump's campaign, says a joint statement by the FBI and other U.S. agencies. Iran denies it. The Republican-controlled Georgia State Election Board has voted to require investigations into ballot discrepancies before county certification. Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger says that could lead to chaos and delays. An infamous ex-New York congressman.
His voice cracking and appearing to fight back tears. George Santos outside a federal courthouse in New York accepting full responsibility for his crimes.
I know that my actions have caused disappointment, frustration, and a loss of faith in me. And for that, I'm truly sorry.
Santos pleaded guilty to 2 felony counts, wire fraud and aggravated identity theft while campaigning for office, using the money to line his pockets and to meet a Republican fundraising threshold. He'll be sentenced in February. Derek Dennis, ABC News, New York.
Prosecutors seeking years in prison. You're listening to ABC News.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
A Galveston jury found parents of Dimitros Pagordis not liable in the 2018 mass shooting at Santa Fe High School. Victims' families sued the parents for not securing their guns or seeking mental health care for him. Judge Jack Ewing.
Did the negligence, if any of those named below, proximately cause the occurrence in question? The answers are Antonios Pagordas, no.
That was the judgment for both of them. Charges are now filed against 4 men accused of murdering a former actor who was just getting off a shift working at a bar one early morning in May.
Almost 3 months after former General Hospital actor Johnny Wachter was shot and killed by a group trying to steal his car's catalytic converter in downtown L.A., charges have now been filed against 4 men arrested by the LAPD last week. L.A. County District Attorney George Gascon says they filed for special circumstances as well.
Of using a firearm in the commission of these crimes.
2 of the 4 suspects are charged with murder. If convicted, they face the possibility of life in prison. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The company that owns the 7-Eleven chain of convenience stores is considering a buyout offer from Canada's El Montechon Couche-Tard. The owner, Japan's 7 & I Holdings, said today it will review the bid. Shares of 7 & I jumped 23%, their largest single-day gain. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
When traveling at 20 miles per hour, the average stopping distance is about 40 feet.
That stopping power is calculated in both thinking and braking distance.
And assuming you've got the thinking and braking part down, the only thing left is good tires.
Just Google Richlands to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 convenient locations.
And rest assured, we'll put you in the right tire no matter what sort of vehicle you drive.
Plus, every tire purchase that we install automatically comes with our free flat tire protection plan.
5 conveniently located facilities, all AAA approved.
And all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to install your tires.
So Google Richlands.
Or go to richlands.com.
And remember to be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you have good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands, your
due for tire service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
It's here on consignment from over 10,000 nationwide partners. From very high-end, distinctive furniture, unique antiques and original art, to tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. Premium home decor priced right at 25 to 40% off retail prices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Smart interior designers know that what they'll see here is going to be almost impossible to find anywhere else, especially at our consignment prices. Premium home decor that's gently loved and close to new. And what we carry can raise the wow factor of anyone's home decor. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Now to the race for the White House. The former president now agreeing to debate Vice President Harris.
October 7th would have never happened. Russia would have never hit Ukraine had the election result been called differently.
But Donald Trump does not want to fix this problem. Be clear about that. He has no interest or desire.
This is the most important election of all our lifetime.
This is Impact 2024. Inside the DNC, here is your host, Steve Scafidi.
And Dr. Kent Harris, 1017 The Truth in the afternoon, 4 to 6, on our fellow station here, our trio of stations, ESPN 94.5, 620 WTMJ, and 1017 The Truth. So Dr. Kent asked a great question before the break. So I'm going to ask it to all of you, 855-616-1620. Again, weigh in on a text is fine, 855-616-1620. Are we ready, Dr. Ken, to elect a woman president? Are we ready as a country? It's a big question. Never happened before.
Came close.
Came close in 16.
Yeah.
Almost got it done.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
Right.
Now, I would argue Hillary Clinton, maybe I don't believe this anymore. Hillary Clinton had a lot of baggage.
She had a lot of baggage.
Mostly due to her husband and all that stuff, but she was also had her own baggage.
She had her own set of baggage. Yeah.
So I guess let's look at it from that perspective. So that was the last opportunity. We have 2016 and now 2024.
Right.
What's the difference other than race is the obvious one, but it's two women running for president against a white man.
Well, we went from a woman who did too much to a woman who people are saying didn't do enough.
Define too much.
Too much. The company you hired from England that did all the background and created all the fake stuff, to the server that you weren't supposed to use but you used, and it was literally multiple criminal acts, but yet the FBI went, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, my friend Joseph Pecky would say, it's just emails. Just the emails. But I think it's more than that.
Just classified emails.
It was deceptive.
It was deceptive. It was classified. There's very clear information that says these are things you literally cannot do or you will go to prison.
And she destroyed evidence in the process.
She destroyed it in the process and then tried to pretend like you're actually going to make something electronic.
All right, so fast forward 8 years.
But now we fast forward, and
Kamala
Biden
Harris
has her, we're going to name her the czar of this, and we're going to put her in charge of that, and we're going to do this, but then none of those things happen.
Is there a liability to choosing a candidate that way?
I would say no.
Why not?
Donald Trump was completely untested. He had zero political experience, and I mean zero as in zero. We're talking about a guy that his entire adult life voted Democrat. So the nuances of politics change over time, and now it's moved beyond the post-DEI, post all this. And so I think what happened is the Democratic Party shot themselves in the foot by getting rid of DEI.
So the vote's in, 2 votes already.
Right.
So ready, not a chance.
Correct.
So we have that already.
Correct.
That reality, which I think accurately represents the country.
It does.
So do you agree with me that, and I'm watching the monitors, we're getting sort of the prime time. So we got Dr. Joe Biden's coming up. We've got President Joe Biden at some point, and Hillary Clinton's going to be part of this equation, unless she's already spoken. I wasn't watching the monitor that close. And watching all of this is Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
DA in San Francisco, attorney, DA in San Francisco, Attorney General, State of California, Vice President. There's another
U.S. Senator.
U.S. Senator briefly.
Right.
And now a nominee for the highest office in the land, certainly, and most powerful, I think, job in the world.
Correct.
I think that's still true. You think that's still true? I think so.
I think it's still true.
Is she ready for prime time?
Is anybody ready for prime time?
I don't think there's an easy answer to that question.
Nobody is. If you see the briefing there was an interview that Barack Obama did, and his demeanor the day before was, "Hey, I'm the president-elect. Everything's right." And then he had his briefing with the Secret Service, CIA, National Security Agency, Defense, before he became president, because what people don't understand many times is that at 12:01, you're the president, whether you're sworn in or not. You're it. That ceremony you see is ceremonial, and then, right, his entire demeanor changed.
Trial by fire.
Yes.
Not that I'm never comparing my life to life of president. It's not even remotely close. Yes. But I learned the hard way. Yes. We had a bad thing happen, and I had to deal with it.
And 2.5 years in, you can see the gray starting. Right. George W. Bush, same thing.
There's a reason that happened. It's called stress.
Yes.
All right. After the break, we're going to talk to a delegate from Chicago.
All right.
Yeah, and she's also elected representative in the state of Wisconsin. Chris Sinicki is going to join us. Dr. Ken Harris, 1017 The Truth, Steve Scafidi, 620 WTMJ. We have about 45 more minutes, but I want to talk to a delegate. I want to see what that experience is like as the A-team of speakers about ready to hit the stage in the United Center in Chicago. That's all coming up right here on 620 WTMJ.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
When you have a stuffy nose, life can be a bit unpleasant. Some live every day with a stuffy nose, and that can make life downright miserable. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent, where we are committed to eliminating your nasal breathing problems with simple in-office procedures like balloon sinuplasty, which requires no surgical cuts little to no downtime, and can have you breathing better in less than 30 minutes. At Advent, we understand your inability to breathe freely limits your quality of life. And that's why we continue to pioneer the most advanced in-office procedures that have made our practice a global destination for those seeking to live their highest quality of life. Visit AdventKnows.com to see if you're a candidate for the balloon sinuplasty procedure. Because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary. My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
Steve Scavini and Dr. Ken Harris from 101.7 The Truth. Now, one of my goals tonight was to talk to a real delegates from the United Center on the opening night, night number 1 of the Democratic National Convention. Joining us on the hotline, she is a state representative, District 20, which I think is Cudahy, St. Francis, Southern Milwaukee, if I'm correct. I think I remember that. Christine Sinicki joins us on the hotline. Good evening.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. Dr. Ken's alongside as well. So set the scene for us. You're about to hear some big speeches tonight live at the United Center. What are you expecting to hear?
Well, I'm waiting for Dr. Biden and President Biden to take the stage tonight. I think we're going to see a lot of excitement when that happens.
We had a guest on earlier, Kristen Bry, who does the afternoons here, and she said she expected the speech to be emotional from the president. Do you see it that way?
I think it's going to be very emotional. I think the delegates are going to get emotional. It's kind of our thank you to President Biden.
So a lot of us don't know what it feels like to be a delegate. I know Dr. Ken wants to jump in here, but let me just ask you this, and I'll let him take over. The experience, what's it like? Have you been a delegate before?
I was a delegate back in 2000, the Gore Convention.
Wow, okay.
So it's been 24 years since I was a delegate, and it's as exciting as I remember it to be.
Do they take care of the delegates at the conventions?
Yes, they do, especially if you're a swing state.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
You're front and center, yeah. It's been an interesting day so far.
Based on the plank, this is Dr. Ken Harris, but based on the plank of this convention, what do you want to see come out of this? Like Thursday, while you're getting in your car, train, whatever, what do you want to have said this happened?
I want to go home feeling energized, feeling that we will win this election. I want to go home feeling that, everybody's going to go all in for the Harris ticket.
Can a woman be president?
That's what I was going to ask.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My mother raised me and my sisters. She taught us that as women, we can do whatever we want. We can reach for the skies. And it's time that we break that ultimate glass ceiling and we put a woman in the White House.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm the father of two now grown daughters, and there's examples around the world. Margaret Thatcher, a famous conservative example from the UK, and certainly Angela Merkel, and others, where other countries have already said, we're cool with this. A woman can certainly do that job. It's taken us a while, but for the second time now in 8 years, we have the opportunity to do that. Politics aside, and Dr. Ken asked the same question I was going to ask, it's one thing to say we're ready, but it's another thing to get the votes to make that a reality. You're confident that Kamala Harris can beat Donald Trump?
I am very confident that Kamala can beat Donald Trump. I'm also chair of the Milwaukee County Democratic Party, and as such, I work our state fair booth. Women and young people, young men, young women, older women are so excited about this election. We have been nonstop in the office, people wanting signs, people wanting to volunteer, people wanting to donate money. It's very reminiscent of 2008.
But you have to remember, England and Germany have been civilized for probably about 5,000, 8,000 years.
Dr. Ken giving us the history lesson again.
So we're approaching 250 in 2026. We're kind of we're on the early side of the curve.
Well, we're the United States. We should be on the early side of the curve. We should be leading the way more often.
Christine Sinicki joining us from the Wisconsin State Assembly, District 20, which is Cudahy, St. Francis, southern Milwaukee. All right, so the Tim Walz selection. What's exciting about that selection to you?
He spoke at our delegation breakfast this morning. He is like the man next door. I mean, look at his background. He's a teacher. He's a father. He's like the guy that will, feed your dog if you're out of town. He's the guy that will mow your grass if you need help. I think that he has enhanced the ticket so well because both of our candidates really, really care about people.
Votes, yes. But what about politics? Is this the guy that you want to trust at 3 o'clock in the morning when the president is not available or incapacitated to step in and do the job?
Okay, yes, I do think he is very capable of doing the job if the president is not available. He's been the governor. He has served our country. He served our country in the Guard. He's raised children. Yeah, he's very capable of making very good decisions. And, when you elect a president and a vice president, you're not just electing them. You're electing a platform and you're electing an administration that they would be working with.
Any concerns that, now she was part of the Biden-Harris ticket, but she didn't earn the primary votes that Joe Biden did. Joe Biden stepped back, surprising everybody, and doesn't happen that often in our country's history. Any concern that maybe she didn't earn her way on this ticket?
Not at all. She was on the primary ballot with Joe Biden. She got as many votes as Joe Biden did. And I have no concern. I think the way this all it went so smoothly, I absolutely have no concern. There's a few people that have said something to me about it, but I think it's out of line because she did earn the votes.
But did she really earn the vote because people were voting for the president and she happened to be on the ballot? Had you reversed that, would that vote have been the same? I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I think it would be. I think it would be at this point.
All right, got to ask you a fun one before we let you go. Other than all the politics, what are you most looking forward to doing at the convention?
The after parties look like a lot of fun.
That's an honest answer. I love that, actually. So
if I could stay awake that long.
Yeah, well, you said you did it in 2000, so I mean, you were probably younger then. Well, obviously you were younger then.
Yeah,
it's a late night at the conventions. I know this because I talked to delegates when the RNC was here in Milwaukee. Some of these folks didn't get to bed till 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's not me.
Again, I love the honesty. Christine Sinicki, she represents the 20th District, Wisconsin State Assembly. Thanks for taking the time as a delegate.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
You're welcome. Fun to talk to the delegates. It's real life, real time, real experience. That's a very cool thing.
And it takes you forever to get in, too. So
yeah, that's right. They don't get a quick pass. They got to go through all the stuff we do. Dr. Ken Harris, Steve Scafidi on our special Inside the DNC. We got about 38 minutes left. Questions and comments coming in on the text line, 855-616-1620. Can we elect? Will we elect a female woman president? I don't know. She was very confident, our delegate, Christine Sinicki. Dr. Ken says, yes, maybe.
Maybe.
I say the same thing, maybe.
It seems to change.
Yeah.
Once more information comes in, it's yes, it's no. It's that.
And we have, I think, was it 78 days till the election? Something like that. Yeah. Well, it's coming fast and furious, though.
Yes.
But here's the deal about elections now. I know we're late for break. The election night's not the end of it.
It's
it
not.
just keeps going.
And the policies that come after that, and are you going to now get those folks to go to Capitol Hill? And that's when it really starts.
I want to ask you about that after the break, because it's not just about president. It's about the makeup of the congressional people we send to make those decisions that they send to the president.
Correct.
What will that look like?
Yep.
All of that and a whole lot more. You're listening, of course, to 620 WTMJ.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
Now's when the summer heat is working your AC system into overtime. And after this long, it may be on borrowed time. But some of these systems really can't last, especially Armstrong Air Pro Series systems. When your AC system says its final goodbye, think of the man in the red van and the over 60 years of experience that Quality Heating brings to your home. To get your new Armstrong Air Pro Series AC system installed right and right away.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. When you have over 20 HVAC techs working with you that each have over 20 years of experience, it gives you confidence to be able to go out there and talk reliability, integrity, value, all the things that matter when you hire someone to get the job done right the first time. These words mean everything to us, and we know they mean a lot to you. And that's what you'll get when you hire the man in the red van.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers, where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
Your current car, soon to be your old car. A new car? Better start looking. But you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with free credit score for Choice and Platinum Choice checking customers. Because when you know you need to make a big purchase, knowing your credit score puts you in the driver's seat. You've got this with free credit score from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
IndyCar returns to the Milwaukee Mile at Wisconsin State Fair Park this Labor Day weekend, August 30th through September 1st. The Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s weekend features NTT IndyCar Series races on both Saturday and Sunday. Don't miss the fun in the free fan zone all weekend long, including live entertainment at the Bank 59 Amphitheater with headliners including Ian Munsick and Quiet Riot. Get your tickets now at wistatefair.com and experience Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 250s weekend, August 30th through September 1st.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
Dr. Ken Harris from 1017 The Truth, his program 4 to 6. I forgot the name of your show all of a sudden. Truth in the Afternoon.
Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris.
I had a brain cramp there. Steve Security from the Political Power Hour. So a bit of history was made here. We were watching the monitors during the break, Dr. Ken. The candidate, the nominee, showed up and spoke briefly. That doesn't happen on opening night typically. So that was sort of a game. We were trying to get a little bit, but she didn't speak very long. I see all of the commentators are all like in an anxious, excited mood because now that's something that's unexpected. She sort of switched the program, so now everybody's in chaos. But the audience seemed to like it. Kamala Harris shows up. So we were talking during the break, and we have a quick segment here, and then we'll get to a little more expansive conversation. You brought up this issue, and I've said this many times. We fall in love with these races, whether it's president, whether it's governor, whether it's senator, and we focus so much on that, the race and the person.
Right.
You and I both know, because we've been around for a while, what's really more important that we've sort of gotten away from is that the work has to be done at the back end.
Right.
That's what I think, and I'm starting to feel more confident about this. I think most Americans say, all right, we'll pick somebody. What are you going to do after you get there?
The most important day, so I was in Des Moines, Iowa, West Des Moines, Iowa, all weekend.
That's exciting.
Sat around with a group of friends of mine. Can't tell you who they were. I'll tell you later.
Are they famous?
And no comment. And one of the conversations we had was the day after the election, from November 6th to the next election, is the arc. Not January 20th.
Right.
Not the time between January 6th and January 20th. That's when it starts. If you don't have your agenda ready November 6th, the day after the election, you've already lost.
Which raises the question. We've seen that period of time, they used to call it lame duck, and then they call it, well, you can't do it because there's so much time between. It happened, it mattered in Supreme Court choices. Oh, it's too close. Can't touch that. Merrick Garland, famous example. Well, we can't do that. We see it in the border policy. Donald Trump intervened on behalf of the Republicans in Congress, said, you can't do that, even though it was a bipartisan, we can argue about the details, effort to fix border policy immigration. So are we going to see serious politicians, elected officials, actually do work after this election, regardless of who wins?
I think with the way America is today, they'll do that. They're going to take advantage of the majority that they have, much like the state legislature did here in Wisconsin when they knew Evers was coming in. I thought that was a very disingenuous thing to do. And really, that's the problem with politics today. When Steve Scafidi won and Dr. Ken lost, you stepped back and you said, it's your role. Let's get the, and you want this group, let's just vote them in, right? You want that person on the Supreme Court, you vote them in. Now we nitpick. We go back to your wife turning a flag upside down 8 years ago. Like, why is that even important today? We're going back and listening to things the vice president said when she, like 1, 2, 3 offices ago. What are we doing?
Decades ago.
So there's no growth in anybody. We want perfect people to run.
Yeah. And we both know there's no perfect people.
And there's no perfect people.
All right. We got a lot of compliments. And somebody asked, and I'll ask you because I didn't know if we planned this. Are you going to be with me on Thursday night too?
No, I will not be with you on
Thursday. Come on, Dr. Ken.
I cannot be here Thursday.
Previous engagement?
I have a previous engagement that is every single Thursday night.
But I'm going to, because we're doing this, because we love talking about politics and we love what we do. Thanks for the fabulous conversation at the DNC. Appreciate the coverage and the local viewpoints. Love your special analysis program tonight. Dr. Ken question. This one. I can remember when Obama was the candidate. I looked at my husband and said, it's just time. It's just time for a capable black man to be our president. I've always been a huge Colin Powell fan as well. This texter said, it's the right woman for the right moment. Interesting.
I say no.
Okay. Why?
Because you're qualified or you're not.
Good point, Dr.
Race doesn't play a part. Barack Obama had all the points. He checked all the boxes. There's no race box in president. There's no gender box in president. It's president.
Once you get the office,
right?
They don't differentiate. It's just president.
You can't. And that's why when you go to D.C., and I know we got to take a break, when you go to D.C. and you see people fighting and arguing and all that on TV, these are the same group of people that 535 people vote themselves a raise 100% same time all the time. Their kids go to school together. They live in the same buildings. They live in the same neighborhood. Their kids and wives are best friends. So what are you doing? It's that outside the circle and inside the circle.
So now it's getting silly. They have the Steve Kerr, the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, speaking for some reason.
Why?
I have no idea.
Same thing with RNC. Some of these people, I go, okay, dude, I know you got to fill to get to the prime time, but come on.
I know he was the champion with the Bulls as a player. He was a champion with the Golden State Warriors as a coach. But come on, this is politics.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dr. Ken
I don't
Harris.
care what he thinks.
I don't either. I have nothing against him, but I don't care what he thinks about anything other than basketball.
Taylor, play, sing, but please don't tell me.
You're not buying into the Taylor Swift comments. All right, we are late for break. We apologize to producer Matt. We will fix that sort of after this.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here. I absolutely love Wisconsin this time of year. It's absolutely heaven, especially on a lake, especially after a swim perhaps, or maybe even water skiing. But again, you know how that goes. You do something like that, then the joint pain really starts to act up. The knees really start to bark. And you know you want to take care of it, but you don't want surgery. Well, there is another way. QC Kinetics. There's exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief in your joints, and the place to go is QC Kinetics, using cutting-edge treatments, but no surgery, no drugs, and here's the best part, no downtime. You can get right back to work the day of your treatment. Call QC Kinetics today and find out what they can do for you. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. This is the future of medicine. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation, 414-285-3474.
Before you go looking for an area rug that you'll have to settle for because you think that the one you really want will be out of your budget, come to Design Exchange, where you'll find a formidable selection of Oriental, Persian, and other wool area rug choices at 25 to 70% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
If you're trying to find really good, high-end, distinctive furniture, the kind they just don't make anymore, then come to Design Exchange. But you better get here quickly, because the best furniture we take in on consignment doesn't usually last long. It may be vintage, it may have once been out of your range, but now you'll find it's priced right. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value.
Design Exchange.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
Got about 20 minutes left of the conversation, extended political conversation tonight and Thursday night, 7 to 9. Dr. Ken won't be here, but I'll be here, and I'm looking forward to that conversation.
You don't have to rub it in.
I'm not. You deserve the time off. Trust me. I know you work hard. You do a lot of things. You do more things than I do.
Yes.
Which keeps you busy, which we both...
Because I'm retired.
Yeah.
You got to rub that in.
You have the fake retirement. You're still working a lot, even in retirement.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to get this in because I work at 620 WTMJ. You work at The Truth. For folks who haven't listened to your show, I think we should give you a little love here. What will they expect to hear on your show, Truth in the Afternoon?
I think they'll expect to hear a contrarian who doesn't allow people to say something without giving me some depth, without giving me some data. What's it based on? Why are you saying it? So the talking points, I just dismiss.
Yeah, I do too.
All that. And I want to know why you feel that way. But then do you believe what you're actually saying?
So I have to edit myself because I was going to say a word I can't say. So I'm going to say it this way. So when you do this for a while, and we've both done it for a while, you have a BS meter that's sort of built into your brain, and you can tell when someone either doesn't have the facts to support what they're saying, or they're just saying, they're spouting, as you just said, political talking points. I'm frustrated by many conversations I have on the show or away from the show where I can tell pretty quick that you're just saying what the party wants you to say.
Correct.
I always say, tell me what you think.
Right. Well, most people don't know what they think because they follow it. So the suburbanite that calls in and they're staunch Trump supporters won't tell you that their wife and their two children are all Democrats. You know, that there's a broadness of politics that doesn't necessarily have to be so narrow, but people are just stuck. It's almost like you can't tell me what I want to think, even when I'm wrong, right? And so civility's gone. Everything's just gone.
Oh, tolerance for another person's opinion. We've sort of tuned that out now.
But you shouldn't have to tolerate me, right?
You should accept someone's different opinion.
But that's probably because I don't care whether or not you tolerate me. That's what people need to think.
You never need permission to think what you think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now it's...
So this is a bigger one, and let me know if you've talked about this on the show or not, but I'm fascinated by the dynamic that's sort of infected our population in this country and other places too, where you now have to sort of figure out what someone is before you will associate with them. It happens on dating apps, I'm told, and I'm not on
bizarre.
dating. It happens at dinner tables at Thanksgiving and Christmas. Right. I don't get that at all. Right. I'm fascinated by different viewpoints. I want to hear what someone says. Again, with the caveat, you're going to know what you're talking about.
Correct.
Not just spout nonsense, because there's way too much. There's too much nonsense. Let's be honest about it.
I had a guy that called today who was totally against Kamala Harris. And so I play the contrarian. If you're pro-Trump, I go anti. If you're pro, right?
You like the argument.
Well, no. I want to see, do you really believe what it is you're saying? And can you really give me a clear statement? And he didn't, because he didn't like all the stuff that all the Republicans didn't like. But I said, give me something substantive. And he couldn't.
And that's where it falls down, because most of us don't know these people. And until give me a candidate or an elected official who is unscripted, then you see the real person. And we saw that with Joe Biden when he had to speak unscripted.
Correct. You also saw it with Trump, and you saw it with RFK Jr.
Yes, that's the real person.
The real person.
What they think about things.
Right.
And in Trump's case, the inability to stop talking, even when he should have stopped talking an hour earlier.
Or RFK's voice.
Yeah.
That's scratchy. And I'm thinking, but the majority of his ideas are like on point, and you don't like him because of his voice.
So did we talk about third parties? I want to get to that.
We touched it.
Touched it earlier. Let's get to it. Because
let's jump into it.
There was a guest on the morning program, and I don't know his name, and I apologize. He's the vice presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party.
Right.
So let's talk about that, because there is a choice that people have that's not Harris or Trump.
Right.
It can be Jill Stein. It can be one of these other candidates. How much that will factor into this race, let's be honest, it's going to be Trump or Harris. But how much that third party, other party, factors into this decision in November. We'll continue the conversation. You're listening, of course, to expanded DNC coverage right here on 620 WTMJ.
You're listening to Inside the DNC here on WTMJ.
At Erickson's Landscape Supply, we have durable, maintenance-free polywood patio furniture and #1 grade treated natural pine Amish-made patio furniture. And we also have a wonderful assortment of concrete benches, statues, and fountains available in a selection you just gotta see to believe. Erickson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less, plus a whole lot more. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection or stop on in today. He told us to load 4 yards into his 8-foot bed, but we knew that 3 full, honestly measured yards were going to fill his truck bed to the rim. After we proved that, he told us the other guys have been telling him he's been getting 4 yards in there for years. Honest measurements and honest folks who just want to do you right. So you come back. Erickson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
Gorgeous new roofs, showstopper siding, or classic brick and stonework. How about modern windows and regal doors that'll make your chin hit the floor? To a lot of people, having these things can really make them enjoy where they live. It makes them proud. But there's always one thing standing in the way. How do I make that happen? At Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, we have excellent financing options for most people in most situations. 12 months, no interest, no payments, and exceptional rates for long-term loans that will beat your bank with no additional fees or hidden costs. You can go to SemperFiRoofing.com to apply for your pre-approval today. We want to make any project affordable to almost any person, and we've gone out of our way to find partners that can help make it happen for you. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Ask about our finance options.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Anti-Procrastination Officer Brian Wickert. Most homeowners and home shoppers have heard the Federal Reserve will cut rates by 0.25% in mid-September. Well, I have great news. When it comes to mortgage rates, it's like the cut has already happened. That's how markets work, and it means there's no reason to wait to either start or resume your home search, because most 30-year fixed-rate loan scenarios will now have a rate and APR that starts with the number 6 instead of 7-point-something. The already lower mortgage rates also mean the refi window of opportunity is open for folks who bought their homes earlier this year or late last year with a rate in the mid to high 7s. If you can save $1,000 a year in payments and spend less than that in refi loan cost, do it. AccuNet can also typically offer a genuine no loan cost refi, which makes lowering your payment a genuine no-brainer. Don't wait. Click on the blue button today for a no-pressure refi checkup or to get started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval. That's ACCUNET.com.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
Expanded coverage on 620 WTMJ, but I'm joined by Dr. Ken Harris, Truth in the Afternoon, 1017. It is... I never like the term the most important election in our life. They're all important. You know, it's so overused. Yeah, it's so overused.
2 generations from now, it'll be the most.
Yeah, they're all important for all the obvious reasons, which we spent 2 hours talking about. But I want to talk about third-party candidates because the Jill Steins and others, Libertarian Party, and there's probably a myriad of other candidates that I don't even know their names, and they will get little or no support. And we may have talked about it earlier, sort of my show and this show sort of blending in my mind about what the conversations we had. But, the question I think for most people is, at some point, doesn't it make sense to have another party or two that can actually win one of these big elections?
Yes.
So why hasn't it happened in your mind?
Because the rules that the DNC and the RNC put together in order to be on debates and money and percentages, they play the game because they know that the money and the debates and all that is in their favor. And they are protecting that two-party system so that they are the ones that are in charge. It's like they're totalitarian in politics.
So I agree with that assessment, but I also talk to a lot of voters and a lot of regular folks in all different things I'm doing throughout the course of the day and night. And they all say the same thing. Why isn't there a third party? So if the system's rigged, we put the people in office who are rigging the system. Right. We can certainly do something about it.
Yes, we can. And so we don't do that. We don't get rid of. We do it locally. We do it throughout the state. We don't get rid of people we put in office. I think the only way to remedy that is to make your job a citizen politician, not a politician citizen. You should not be getting paid full time to work a part-time year. So what we'll do is we'll cut your pay literally in half. And you are now a part-time politician. And these are the times that you're going to be in session, and you need to go get a job.
They've done it with,
the county.
County, yeah.
Yes.
They
need
supervisors.
to do it with the city.
Some people argue the state legislators might be a candidate for being part-time because a lot of them treat it that way. They have other jobs, often their full-time jobs, which they don't admit to or don't talk about, where they're spending more time on that job than their job as a legislator.
Correct. But is there enough time to spend as a legislator anywhere? I say no.
Yeah, I don't know what the right answer is. I just know that I've heard so many people say the same thing over and over again, but it doesn't change. And I guess the only question I have going forward is, when will it change?
It won't change because the system we use to put people in and the indoctrination makes you part of the group, and you're either in the in group or the out group.
All right, so let's talk about RFK Jr.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what you think about him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan because I think he espouses some things that are just crazy.
Otherworldly, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, he's an odd dude, and he admits this. He's done some things he's not proud of in his life.
Sure.
But he's a candidate out there that's going to get support.
Right.
Do you think his votes could change the results of this election?
100% yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal.
Yes.
When the elections are close, and we think this one's going to be close.
We already know that if roughly 3% of Latinos, 5% of African Americans decide they want to adjust their vote.
Now, he's still having ballot issues across the country, so he may not be on the ballot in some places.
Well, that's how the system has to change.
Yeah.
You should not be having ballot issues
at this point in time
because throughout the country, because we've got these arcane rules. And if there's only one federal, first of all, I think we need a separate federal ballot. Like if you're voting for president, that needs to be on that ballot. The other people represent you locally, but this is national. You need a separate ballot for that race so that they can decide who's on the ballot and who isn't.
Should presidential election days be a day off for everybody in this country?
No, it should be a week.
A week off?
And no, not off, but a week, and you should be able to vote through multiple ways.
Oh.
Make it secure.
During that week.
Because every other country, election is 4 or 5 days.
we do things a lot differently because we let states run elections, which is
idiotic, I think.
It is idiotic because the rules change everywhere.
Yes.
We have states, this is sort of the backstory of this election that's coming up. There are states that have changed their rules. There's actually a proposal in Georgia to hand count all the votes.
Correct.
I mean, come on.
Correct.
That is insane.
It's idiotic.
I mean, for some reason, it's mainly because politicians say this, they think that's more accurate. I can guarantee you'll have more errors doing that than if you use computers to count them.
You have more errors doing simple math by hand than you do with a calculator.
But yet here we are talking about this nonsense.
Yeah, well.
All right, final thoughts.
It is Georgia.
That's an op-ed by Dr. Ken Harris, not me. I like the state of Georgia. I have a lot of friends and family who live there, yes. Peaches are a popular thing in Georgia, apparently. And peanuts.
Yes, I can't eat those.
Billy and Jimmy Carter would attest to that. All right. Dr. Ken Harris, Steve Skibby will wrap it up. Final thoughts. You can weigh in quickly on the text line, 855-616-1620. Don't assume you know who I'm voting for, by the way, because I will surprise you in my vote, as I always do. And I have admitted on my show, I'm not a Trump supporter. I wrote in Paul Ryan in 2016, and I wrote in Nikki Haley in 2020. So I do the unconventional.
Okay.
Wasting my votes? We'll hear what Dr. Ken Harris has to say about that. Our final break, before we get to the top of the hour, right here on 620 WTMJ.
You're listening to Inside the DNC, here on WTMJ.
Emergency service 24/7. Quality Heating has 25 trucks ready to work around the clock to get out there quickly to solve your heating or AC problem. So when that system goes on the fritz and you want to avoid that sweaty summer heat or bypass the fear of frozen feet, the man in the red van can't be beat when it comes to prompt, reliable service. Call Quality Heating for any emergency HVAC need.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
There's a reason why we install Armstrong Air Pro Series systems. When your reputation is on the line, you pick the brand you can trust. It's like our employees. You pick the best to preserve your good name. A guy like me that's been working on furnaces and AC systems for over half my life. I got an eye for the good stuff. And Armstrong Air Pro Series systems fit the bill. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. When you need a good crew installing a system you can rely on, see the man in the red van.
Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
Here at Rich Lawns, we offer both comfort service and expert service.
Our comfort service comes with movie theater popcorn, hot gourmet coffee, upfront pricing, on-time scheduling, plus anything else we can do to keep you comfortable.
Put that on top of honest service from the most friendliest, hard-working people you'll ever meet inside a tire and service center. And well, we'd like to believe we're on the right track to meeting your expectations.
But when your check engine light, tire light, or any other light screams, "Service me," well, that means you're due for our other type of service.
Our expert service. Tires, brakes, belts, mufflers, transmissions, and even engine repair.
Come on into Richlands and put our expert service to the test.
And while you're relaxing, enjoy our comfort services too. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands, your
due for service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
The little one just took her first steps. Her stride? Wobbly.
Oh my gosh, she's doing
Her parents? Oh boy, here we go.
Oh, watch out.
But you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with free credit score for choice and platinum choice checking customers. So while you're monitoring and protecting her every move, you can do the same for your credit score too. You've got this with free credit score from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Dan, I love what we do at Inspired Closets.
Can you count the ways?
First of all, we're 100% locally owned, helping families in southeast Wisconsin calm the chaos and eliminate stress. We're not a franchise. And our lifetime warranty and price match guarantee.
Yes, Katie. Milwaukee homeowners have trusted the Anheuser family for 55 years for our commitment to quality, service, and competitive prices.
And we get to work together.
Yeah, that too. Buy local and save money today. InspiredClosetsMilwaukee.com.
A wife and husband team.
This is Inside the DNC on WTMJ.
Dr. Ken Harris, Steve's Committee, the Political Power Hour. Dr. Ken, Truth in the Afternoon, 1017. We have an additional hour of special coverage from ABC, live from the convention. And The unsuccessful candidate in 2016, Hillary Clinton, addressing the DNC as we speak. Dr. Ken, so I asked you the question before the break. I am not a Trump supporter. I've said that before. I like some of the things he did. I was a fan of the tax cut in 2017. I admitted that on the show. But I have not voted for Donald Trump, and I wrote in candidates, Paul Ryan in 2016 and Nikki Haley in 2020. I was a Haley supporter in the primaries. I still think she has a strong political future. Am I wasting my vote, Dr. Ken?
I think that if you decide that you don't want to vote, you don't have to vote. I think as long as you pay your taxes, I'm a taxpayer, you represent me, and that doesn't change. People scream and holler, "Oh my God, you're wasting your vote." I say, yeah, but if you vote all the time and the person you vote for loses, is that wasting your vote?
Yeah, it's the same thing, really.
No, right. Yeah. So I think what happens is people need to understand that, one, if you want to get rid of Donald Trump, you make him president for 4 years and he can never come back.
True.
If you put in Kamala Harris and she's there for 4 years, she may only be there for 4 years and then lose, and somebody else may be in. If Donald Trump isn't president, he can come back. So all these things play into the fact that politics is local. Care about the crime, care about the ability for your 80-year-old mother to walk down the street unencumbered. You don't end up on a video like we had the other day with some guy getting carjacked.
Yeah.
Like, all those things are more important because literally in 4 years, this too will pass.
Local is I was telling you the story of the current president, former vice president, talked to me a long time ago as part of some things we did on gun violence and our mass shooting. And he said everything important happens locally.
Yes.
And that is true.
100%.
Including taxation, because
Yes.
your property taxes are impacted by decisions your local elected officials, for the most part, make or don't make. So that's the key. But people, they seem to be, and I'm generalizing, I get this.
Sure.
They seem to be fascinated with the culture of the big race, right? The presidential race, even though Congress is more important in some ways, not in the strategic decisions necessarily when it comes to the military and stuff, but they still have to be consulted. But they are important, and so are the local piece.
Saving inflation and credit card debt has the county $19 million short, and we don't know how short the city is, but if the county is short, you know the city is short.
Yeah.
Does that matter more than this?
I think so, and sort of away from what we're talking about tonight, but it's important. How insane is it that 1 year after they solved all their problems with Act 12 and all the things that happened,
they're bigger.
They're bigger.
Right.
And they don't have an answer this time. There's no another Act 12 coming, I don't think.
And we haven't even discussed MPS and how education plays a part. So those are the questions that you need to be asking these candidates who are running for president. How will those agencies that you're going to run now and be in control of and put leadership in help us?
We're not listening to what Hillary Clinton is saying, former First Lady and ambassador. She was an ambassador. What else? She was senator, U.S. Senator.
Yeah.
What do you think she's saying to the assembled Democrats?
I think she's saying one thing, but she's probably thinking it should be me.
Right.
But she's 70-something years old, and I don't really want to be working that hard at 70-something years
Interesting little fact. Her husband, Bill Clinton, who was president 2 terms, he is still younger, 25 years out of office, than Donald Trump.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
And we're talking about, like, Donald Trump was like the youthful of the 2 old guys, sort of.
Yeah.
And yet here we are.
But I also think we need to cut the age to 75. If you can't be president till you're 35 and you run and do all this other stuff by the time you're 75, if you can't do it in 40 years, you probably don't deserve to be president.
What are you most looking forward to in covering the next, whatever it is, 78 days in this race?
I want platforms and policies.
The 2 Ps.
Yep.
Let's make it 3, popcorn. If we're going to have all that conversation, we've got to have some popcorn to go with it.
Well, now we're going to need a barn and a really big TV because it's going to be great.
Dr. Ken Harris, it's been a blast. I knew it'd be fun. And you can catch him in the afternoon, 101.7 The Truth. The Truth in the Afternoon. He's a smart guy, and he's a fun guy, and he's a great conversationalist, even when we're not on the radio. So I appreciate you spending the time.
For something.
No, there's no buts. There's no ands. There's no ors. Dr. Ken, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
All right, we have expanded coverage coming from ABC, and I will be there in the morning. I've forgotten who my guests are. I know I have Congressman Brian Style on in the morning. The latest from the convention and ABC after this.
You wake up feeling like you just boxed 12 rounds. Some wake up sweating with sore jaw